wanna call, see if we're okay, babe. All I wanna ask you is, I don't wanna push you farther away, no. I don't wanna play no games. I just wanna call, see if we're okay, babe. All I wanna ask you is, are you down for love? Are you up for us? I wanna be together, be together. Babe, I want your love. I'll be the one you trust. You're all that matters, all that matters. I got feelings about you. Oh yeah. Butterflies every time I'm with you. Oh yeah. I don't wanna push you farther away, no. I don't wanna play no games. I just wanna call, see if we're okay, babe. All I wanna ask you is, I don't wanna push you farther away, no. I don't wanna play no games. I just wanna call, see if we're okay, babe. All I wanna ask you is, are you down for love? Are you up for us? I wanna be together, be together. Babe, I want your love. I'll be the one you trust. You're all that matters, all that matters. Are you down for love? Are you up for us? I wanna be together, I wanna be together. Babe, I want your love, your love. I'll be the one you trust. You're all that matters.
No matter what we go through, love will still remain. So do what you want, baby. You and me in the sun. Know that I'll still be here when the day is done. So come a little bit closer, and I'll tell you what I feel inside. You know I'm gonna wait on you. I'm gonna wait on you. You know I'm gonna wait on you. Yes, I'm gonna wait on you. No one's gonna love you like I do. So glad that I found you. You're the missing piece, the last piece of the puzzle. I'm finally at ease. So when times are rough and the promises we make just seem so hollow and weak, and we're about to break, we have to remind ourselves, 'cause we know how we feel inside. You know I'm gonna
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
At what point do we realize that life, to a certain degree, has become a game to an entire faction of this country, where COVID-19 is not to be taken seriously because politics is more important than life, where police brutality is not to be taken more seriously, or should not be taken seriously because attacking critical race theory is far more important than black lives? At what point do we realize that we're fighting against people who do not take our lives seriously? Let's discuss that at great length today. First, On the Clock with Georgia Ford.
Just outside Little Rock, Arkansas, a family is grieving the loss of a 17-year-old. Now, this story definitely did not make national headlines until Al Sharpton and attorney Ben Crump decided to take it on. The only thing that makes this case extremely different than other cases of police killings is the fact that in this case, the victim is white. And it is an interesting step for the duo, who has been traveling all across the country for really the last decade, representing different families. Now, in this case with a 17-year-old Hunter Britton, his family says he was shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy, and that individual was not fired for killing him. 8 days after his death, he was actually fired for failing to comply with the department's body camera policy. I want you to take a listen to what Sharpton had to say as to why he decided to take this case on.
The issue of policing is not about black and white, it's about right and wrong. I do know that the purpose of having body cameras is not to turn them on after you shoot. If you had enough time to decide to shoot, you had enough time to turn on the body camera and show us what you were shooting about.
Now, today, 156 white people have actually been killed by police in comparison to 102 black people. But even though the numbers are skewed there, when you think about the portion of the population, white people make up about 76% of the country's population, whereas black people only make up about 14%. So it's very disproportionate. I want to bring in Brother Mack and Ben Dixon on this. You know, it's very interesting to see Crump and Sharpton, who have been leading on this issue. Now, all of a sudden, it looks like they are pivoting on their strategy. Do you think it will be effective?
You know, Georgia, I think the thing in looking at the situation, what we have to be cognizant of, and I think it's fair, is that these families reached out to Crump and Sharpton and invited them to participate in trying to bring about justice for the loss of their child. So I think that is the ultimate part. And I can say to you that when I served as chief servant of the Seattle-King County NAACP, my philosophy was always that I was fighting for right, not black right. I didn't understand black right or white right. I only understood right. So from that perspective, I had cases where white folks came to me asking for the help of the NAACP. And in that of fighting for justice, I absolutely would take their case if I found that their case had merit and their civil rights were being violated. So, being in a situation like Crump and Sharpton, where they're fighting for, quote, justice, if a white family were to reach out to them, I don't know how they would refuse that family to say, no, we're not going to take your case. The only cases we're going to take are cases that involve the loss of black lives. So from that perspective, because the family reached out to them, and as Sharpton said, in his 40 years of being on the civil rights battlefield, this is one of the first times that a white family reached out to them to say, can you please help us?
Well, and I think that it speaks widely to the legislation that they've been trying to get passed, to say that this is not a bill that is exclusive for Black people. This is a bill for all Americans, because all Americans are being impacted by this. And in fact, and then this has been debated a lot of times when we're talking about police accountability, and you get people who are saying that officers are just doing their job. One of the things we heard even Ben Shapiro say this, that more white people are being killed by police. But it made me ask myself this question. You know, here you have Hunter Britton, a 17-year-old kid. He was out driving with his friend. His friend actually witnessed his death. Something was wrong with his car. So he gets out of the vehicle. And he, I guess, in order to get the car to go into park, he had to put something under the tire. And so something's wrong with the car. He can't get it to go into park. So he gets out of the car during the traffic stop to put, I think it was like an old oil can or something underneath the tire to prevent it from rolling back into the sheriff's car. He's like trying to keep the sheriff safe. The sheriff didn't ask questions, didn't make any demands, and just from what I've been told from the reports I've read, just shot him and killed him. And so when you look at Hunter Britton and you look at all the other white people in this country who have been killed by law enforcement, the other question that I have is, what is it that's happening within the white community where they're not having the same response as the Black community is to these what most call state-sanctioned deaths? Why is it that the white community is not outraged, is not taking to the street to protest, is not going down to the police station, city hall? Like, it feels almost in a sense that a lot of people who have been impacted in the white community by this issue are complicit.
I think you're going to find that to be the case, because for so many people, you mentioned Ben Shapiro earlier, for many people like Ben Shapiro or Tucker Carlson, Republicans in general, Donald Trump, conservatives, they would rather have the talking point that more white people are killed than Black people as a means of undermining our fight for Black lives. In other words, there's a certain level of casualties that they're prepared to endure on the white side of the equation, as evidenced by every single time a Black life is killed. The first thing they say is that, oh, well, more white people are killed. Well, OK, that's fine. What are you going to do about it? And I'm so glad to see these families reach out to Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump, because it is a bigger problem than just Black lives. The real question is why have white people been putting up with the police state shooting and gunning them down? I'm reminded of Daniel Shaver, one of the worst police shootings I've ever seen in my life. A white man, I believe he was 27 years old, in a hotel lobby or in a hotel hallway, crawling on his hands and knees. A white man begging, crying, pleading for his life. And the officer was playing Simon Says with his life and ultimately killed him. At that point, when I saw that there was no response from the white community, I realized that for so many of them, not all of them, but for a lot of them, it's merely a talking point, and they don't honestly care about the lives, because it's more important for them to leverage those lives against those white lives against Black lives.
You know, and Ben, you know, going back to, well, let's first go back to Sharpton's statement. This is not about Black lives or white lives, but police misconduct. I would take issue with that. You know, I clearly think what has taken place in our community has been about Black lives. You know, so I think that, you know, had I saw his words prior to that, you know, and far be it from me or anybody else to put words in Reverend Sharpton's mouth. Because I got a tremendous amount of respect for him. I think as a lot of us do, because of his body of work of being on that battlefield. But I certainly think that can be misconstrued, and it can begin to direct this to basically lower the cry of Black Lives Matter. I clearly still believe that what happens with police actions when they confront Black folk is about the fact that they do not value our lives. So, you know, if he would have said, you know, this is an example of police misconduct that crosses all races, I could agree with that. But to say that this is not about Black lives, not about white lives, no, I disagree with that. Respectfully disagree with that, Brother Sharpton. And being to your case about Daniel Shavers, what I want us to understand about this system, this young man was murdered in January of 2016. March of 2016, and this is Maricopa County in Arizona. Now, he's from Texas, and this is a La Quinta Inn in the hallway. So come March, early March, now they file charges. Once they file charges, then the police department decides to fire him, but they don't fire him based on the shooting. They fired him because engraved on his weapon, he had, and let me say this, you are, quote, F, but F was spelled out. He also had a Greek slogan on there, and that Greek slogan was Milan Laba, which means come and take him. Prior to that case, there was an internal investigation about a young man during an arrest that he body slammed. And as a result of the internal investigation, the police said, and this happened prior to this shooting of Daniel Shaver, which I agree with you was one of the most chilling pieces of footage that I've ever seen. And I'm not saying it was the most chilling in comparison to some of the footage that we've seen in the taking of Black lives. It was chilling because this footage that I saw drug out for, God, I don't know, 5 or so minutes, and you're listening to it and you're just like, there's no way he's going to shoot this kid because he's simply complying to everything he's saying, hands up the likes. But basically what happens is they clear him, a jury clears him of second-degree murder in December of 2017. Then the Department of Justice comes in March of 2018 and see if there's some civil rights violations. But during this time, they now rehire Brailsford back. He works for 42 days in order for him to get all of his medical paid, to get his $2,500 a month pension. The cop who was with him, who was also barking out orders, now he retires and moves to the Philippines. And Brailsford today is now in Glensdale, Arizona, working. So to think that you could have looked at something so chilling and they did nothing about it, it is incredible. But when you go back to Brother Sharpton and Brother Crump and what they're doing, again, I absolutely understand, because the family said, look, obviously, you're not going to convince me that they're the only attorneys dealing with this. I got to believe that there's a plethora of white attorneys dealing with this. But they're recognizing that these two brothers are two of the best in the game as far as trying to bring justice. And if I'm hurt, I don't care what your race, nationality is, if you can help heal this hurt and bring justice to my child being murdered, I'm going to reach out to you. And of all places, in Arizona, I was just shocked to hear that this took place in Arizona and that these white folks said, we are going to reach out to them. So on a bigger scale, clearly, now you're getting to take a look at the corruption and just how rotten this system of police is internally, that they will cover up from each other, regardless of what the circumstances are. Now, going back to what happened to this young man, his friend also talked about the fact that their vehicle was having transmission issues. So it was they were having a difficult time placing it in park. So when they were stopped, that's when he got out with the container, trying to place it under the back wheel so that the vehicle would not roll back into the officer. And as you stated, Georgia, now the officer, without warning, without anything, pulls out his gun, according to the friend that was riding with the young man, and said that the officer shot and killed. And again, turned his body cam off so that you could not see, and for all of us to get a clear view of what happened. But there's a lot of layers to, when we have this issue of discussing now white folks who, as you stated, don't appear holistically to come out. But I think it may be because they have not witnessed or experienced this over centuries that we as Black folks have experienced with law enforcement.
Yeah. And I think that you brought out some parallels that we've seen in other cases. I want to take a listen to this clip. Devin Jacob is one of the co-counsels who's going to be helping attorney Ben Crump prosecute this case out of a suburb that's near Little Rock. Take a listen to what Devin Jacob, the co-counsel, had to say.
Policing in America is sick. That's a fact. And I'm a former police officer. And the illness shows itself with different symptoms. And sometimes those symptoms are racism. But other times the symptoms that we need to treat are when a deputy is fired for not turning on his body camera instead of fired for shooting an unarmed 17-year-old.
And I think right there, he got to the heart of what is wrong with accountability in the policing profession. Because there you have it, even when there is accountability, even in this case of Hunter Britton, 17-year-old, who was killed, his family didn't get accountability because he was killed. He got accountability because the sheriff failed to turn on his body camera. And it reminds me of Breonna Taylor, where you see that there were charges brought for endangering neighbors or, putting holes in the wall, but not for taking her life. And so often when you do see accountability, it is almost a slap in the face. Could you imagine that being your 17-year-old son and knowing that the person who killed him was not held accountable for his death, but for violating a policy? So had that sheriff have turned on his body camera, he would still have a job most likely. And that's a hard pill to swallow. That's a hard pill to swallow. I think about how significant this could be for the broader issue, because yes, while many white families do not reach out to Crump and Sharpton to come in on these cases, the fact that they decided to take this case on, I think is significant. They have been advocating for more than a year for the George Floyd Policing Act to be passed, and it's been hung up in the Senate. And so if America, Black America, white America, can unite on this issue, it may give the nation the leverage that it needs to move forth with change, with tangible change. Because so far to date, only organizing around the cases, only representing the cases of Black families, regardless of how heinous the act is, like we saw with George Floyd, it's not enough. It's still not enough. And so when I saw this, I was like, I just raised the eyebrow at it at first. But when I really listened to what Crump and Sharpton had to say, yes, they want to see policing change in America. And I think that they're at a point in this fight where they realize they are going to have to do it together with white Americans.
Yeah.
George, I want to say this. There's levels of where I can appreciate what the former officer said. But again, if you're going to speak truth to power, if you're going to say that, say it right. Don't say sometimes racism is, and then sometimes it's about a body cam. No. In the case of Black folk, we can, if you take a look at these cases, you can clearly see that it's about racism at every level when it comes to law enforcement, up to and including the judge. Even now in this case of Philip Bradford that murdered Daniel Shaver, when they brought him back, they allowed him to claim disability. So they paid for his medical expenses, saying he suffered from post-stress traumatic syndrome. Go back to the George Floyd case. Now the judge in that case is saying that the children who witnessed this, and he referred to our children, our girls, as young women. See, those little phrases and buzzwords, we have to be extremely critical of the language that they use. These were not young women. They were children. Right. And now he says, well, I don't see any, and when it came to sentencing Chauvin, part of that sentencing was the dramatic, horrific impact that it would have had on these children. And instead of viewing them as children, the judge viewed them as, quote, young women. They're not young women, they're children. So in this case, the judge in the Chauvin case does not look at our children as having a mental devastating impact that they witnessed. But in the case of Philip Brailsford, who murders Daniel Shaver, you can understand the psychological impact that it would have had on him. And now you rehire him, pay him full medical benefits, and allow him to have a pension. Our soldiers who work to defend this country, science has proven that there is a mental disorder, the stress disorder that is heaped upon them. But when it comes to Black folk, Black children, you don't see us that way. And so, I would take issue with the former police officer. I can appreciate what you said, but if you're going to say it in a fact that, we speak truth to power. It's not sometimes racism comes into play. In this case, when they stop our children, they don't see us even as humans, which is why they continue to do these types of nefarious acts against our people. So as much as I can appreciate what he said, say it for what it is. Don't tell me sometimes racism. No, call it when you see it. And in every one of these cases, that's the way I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and only thing I wanted to add to that, Georgia, is the fact that this knowledge, the situation is well known to white America, to the criminal justice system. They're not unaware of what they're doing to human lives. They're not unaware of what they're doing to Black lives specifically. But it is a game of power. And one of the reasons why they're so willing to ignore white lives as they're killed by police officers is because if they peradventure happen to address how many white folks are killed by police officers, you cannot do that without looking at the structural, systemic racism as it pertains to how Black lives are killed. So it's necessary for them to ignore white casualties of this police war against Black lives.
Well, and before we wrap here, I want to take a listen to what Crump had to say. A lot of people have started to dub him as the Attorney General of Black America. And so I thought it was equally significant that he decided to represent this case as well. Take a listen to what he had to say about it.
Then we have to make sure that it's not swept under the rug. Right. And we have to help give a voice to them, just like we gave a voice to George Floyd's family.
And so there, he is talking about giving a voice to the voiceless. And the thing that I've learned, I've interviewed over 20 mothers whose children were killed by police in more than a dozen states. And the thing that I learned is it didn't matter what their race was. It didn't matter what economic class they were in. It didn't matter if they were from this country or not. They all had a similar experience. And the reality of it is, if you find yourself on that side of the equation, that your voice is largely taken. It's very difficult to get the media to really represent your viewpoint and your thought, because the media has been trained to regurgitate facts that are sent out by police. Families who have lost a loved one to police also often express that they feel that they're being followed, different acts of intimidation. I remember one fiance who had lost her partner was holding a protest, and the officer who signed off on the report in her partner's death was assigned to work patrol at her protest. And so, it's those small things that we hear from families. So for Crump to say that he wanted to give a voice to this family, I felt like it was very powerful. But in thinking about all of this, right, like, some people, they say like this isn't even newsworthy. Crump and Sharpton, they're taking their first case of, a white teen being killed. Like maybe they should have been doing this. But what it makes me ask myself, you guys, where would we be today if every single time, when you look at those numbers, 156 white people to date have been killed by police in comparison to 102 black people. If every single time a white citizen was killed by police, if white Americans came out and showed the same level of care and compassion for the humanity that had been taken as what we've seen in the Black Lives Matter movement, where would we be today? If white Americans, every single time a white person was killed by police, they went to their local police department, they went to the governor's office, where would we be today? Would we have the change? Would there have been legislation in place, but even before George Floyd? If white Americans prioritize this issue, those specifically who have been affected by this issue, if they stood up and they advocated for change on this issue, would we already have a bill passed? That's what this has made me think about. It's made me realize that this is an issue largely for the last decade that has been prioritized by Black community leaders, Black politicians, Black faith leaders who have they've exhausted all of their political and social capital trying to make change on this issue, yet and still as many allies as we think we have, or even looking at the numbers, the fact that this is actually an issue statistically that impacts more white people, yet and still they're not showing up. They're not showing up to the fight. But where would we be if they did, or if they chose to 10 years ago?
Well, Georgia, let me add this. I don't question that so much because let's go back to school shootings in this country. Columbine, Sandy Hook, right? Now is where the capitalism comes into play, the politics of it all. Most of these school shootings are white children shooting white children, and yet, or white folks shooting white folks, but nonetheless, killing and shooting children. And even that horrific situation has not moved Congress to gun legislation. Why? Because it's about power. They know that the influence of the NRA, the people that follow the NRA. And so even in that situation, they can't, they haven't seemed to come up with a reasonable solution for gun legislation. Now, I think that, going back to Crump and Sharpton and taking this case, without question, this country has looked at, I know when I grew up as a child and they brought law enforcement officers to us on career day, the police were introduced as, quote, officer friendly, right? And so now by taking situations like this, we as Black folks in our community, we always say, many times we'll say, if that were, by them taking this case, we finna take the if out of these situations, because in the case of Daniel Shaver, I remember reading where his loved one said, if he were Black and the Black Lives Matter movement was behind this, we would have received justice for our loved one. They didn't. In the case of Hunter, if he were Black, so by Sharpton and Brother Crump taking this case, it's going to take the if out of that situation, and it is going to make America look at this incredible sick system of law enforcement, how rotten it is internally, and see how they protect themselves against whatever it is they do, and remove this thing of qualified immunity to begin to hold them accountable. So the beauty of what these brothers have done is that they're keeping their eyes on the real situation is, not that real isn't Black Lives Matter, but this situation of just how absolutely rotten this system of law enforcement is into this country. So, we also have to show sympathy because, again, Georgia, as you stated, regardless, we have to realize that this family in Arkansas, they just lost a child. The family from Texas, in the case of Shaver, they lost a loved one. And and those accountability and justice should be given to these folks. So I certainly applaud Crump and Crump and Sharpton for certainly taking this case, because it's going to make America look at this law enforcement. But again, when I think about school shootings and them looking at that and haven't done anything about it, trust and believe, family, this struggle will continue. We got a long road ahead of us.
Absolutely. Well, that is all that we have time for this morning. Thank you all for joining us, and stay around for more on The Benjamin Dixon Show.
I could really use a change of scenery. Yeah. Everybody smoking all the greenery. Yeah. Close the match 'cause they were handed down to me. But I'm still fly. I'm still fly.
Like it or not. With
I could really use a change.
Good morning, y'all. I'm going to restart that over again. But good morning again, everyone. Welcome. Hope you are enjoying it. Welcome again to the Benjamin Dixon Show, y'all. On the clock with Georgia Ford, and Like It or Not with Rebecca Azor, y'all, is coming up next. Make sure that you stay tuned. Get your tea, your coffee, whatever it is that you need. Get your morning started, y'all. And to remind y'all and remember that the Benjamin Dixon Show channel is suspended currently, but we are fighting to get freedom from the Benjamin Dixon channel, y'all, so stay tuned. It should be coming up soon, but right now we are on the Like It or Not channel. We broadcasting here, so y'all stay tuned, man. We coming up next.
Here and now, it's my time to ride it out. It's my time to ride it out.
Hope y'all ready for roll call. Roll call coming up next. Roll call is coming up next, y'all. Y'all stay tuned.
And now, it's my time to ride it out.
Get the coffee in my system first, and then we gonna get started.
It's my time to ride it now. It's my time. Cheers to all the haters, 'cause you proved to me that rising to the top was my destiny. And you can see whatever from behind me, but I'm still fly. I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly. I'm still fly. Let's go. It could all be worse. I could be a hater like you.
Ooh, I can hear so much better today, my gosh.
From the inside out.
All right, y'all. Good morning. Shout out to Truth the Dragon that's in the building. Brother Lateef. Brenda, good morning. Mark S. I know, right? You know I stay remixing some stuff. Lily Hunter, good morning. On and on it goes. Dragon. Shout out Brother Tiger, what's going on? Shout out to the hardest working man, y'all. Chuck Diesel, moderator in the building. Good morning. Six Dragon Daddy, good morning. Sister Savage Sweetheart. Kayla, good morning, y'all. Lisa Noel, good morning. Alicia, good morning, sister, good morning. Nat A, I know you somewhere in the building. Nat M, I know you in there too. Jam Tune on Twitch. Shout out to all my Twitch people, y'all. Twitter, YouTube people, man. Wherever you streaming from, hey, make sure that you hit that like button so you know when Like It or Not is going down. Hand on the clock and the Benjamin Dixon Show, y'all. Y'all stay tuned.
If you're on the train, say yeah.
A.R. Walker, good morning.
Say yeah. Everybody going.
Brenda Johnson said, Minister of Music, good morning.
Life is never really been fair. So put your fist up in the air. Say yeah. I'm young. I'm free.
Shout out Black Dragon, good morning.
Nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out. It's my time. It's my time to ride it. I'm young. I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to grind it out. Tell them I need my money right now.
Martha, good morning. Brother Tyler, good morning. A.R. Walker, good morning, y'all.
Sorry,
Courtney, the SLP, good morning, sister, good morning. Shay, good morning to you. Kareem, good morning. Barbara, good morning, Barbara.
My energy. I don't got much, don't be wasting all my energy. I keep it tight, don't let nobody get close to me. My heart is right, don't question my integrity. No.
Tractor Tasha, I love that name. Tractor Tasha, I love it. Good morning, Tractor Tasha.
But let me find out. You've been going around throwing shots, running plots. Come on, man. Trying to block my blessings. And only for comparisons. What's wrong with me?
Dimitri OG, good morning. Brother Latif, good morning, sir. Good morning.
I'ma go through. Just to go through. Pay me what you owe me for. Make what you've been saying about me true. Tell them I need my money right now. Brought me the juice, they stole out my crown.
Yusuf, thank you so much, sir.
Sorry.
And no, we haven't. Hey, make sure that you hit us up on Twitter, okay, Yusuf? And so we can get some information about that. Patricia, good morning, Patricia.
You ain't never been.
Susan, good morning. It's so good to see everybody this morning, y'all. Love y'all, mean it, man. Shout out to everybody that's streaming right now. Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're streaming from. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Love to see you and glad that you are here, man. Good morning. Hit that like button, all right?
I'ma go through.
Infinite content, I got you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, send me a Twitter so we can see what's going on with that, okay? Miss Sophia. Hey, Sophia.
Juice, they stole out my crown. Sorry to tell you, I know my value.
Throwback for y'all this morning. Here's a throwback, y'all.
Don't waste my. Hey, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Hey, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this.
Shout out to mom and daddy. Mom and daddy might not be on right now. It depends on if their grandbaby got them up or not, so it depends. But shout out mom and dad if you are here this morning. And good morning, my Sarah. I love you. Uncle loves you. See you soon.
Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, my hand is wrapped around your waist. I love the way that you be twirling to the bass. Moving sideways on a Friday. DJ playing all of your favorites. I'm digging your flavor. Yeah, yeah. There's a vibe. Let this be real inside. Hey, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Hey, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Hey, slide to the left, slide to the right.
Cool.
Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right.
Come on, come on, come on. Y'all ready? All right, y'all. We had to slide to the left this morning, but welcome back to the screen, y'all. It's the Benjamin Dixon Show. My brother from another mother, Benjamin Dixon.
DJXXClusive on the ones and twos, man. You are mixing. You know what I love about music is those are old school hits for us, even though a lot of people haven't heard them before.
Look, a few months old, they old school now.
They old school. We got new hits. We got new bangers, but I always love to go back. I always love to go back and hear some of the original work, man. How you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. And let me tell y'all something, man. If I come on and I'm exuding with joy, it's because we need all this joy and this happiness sometimes. We just I gotta express it, and expressing it in the best way is through this music. So sometimes I get on here and feel like crap, but when I start mixing, man, it just makes it so much better. And then talking to everybody, dude, it's just amazing feeling. I love it.
It is, man, and that's why I love it. Like that's part of why I'm a little ticked off with YouTube, because they've cut off like a lot of our live audience. But most people are finding us over there on the Like It or Not channel. So be sure to go over to Like It or Not and watch the live stream. If you're listening to the podcast, be sure to go back if you want to see the video and go to the Like It or Not stream, because YouTube has cut us off from our audience for the rest of the week. But that's fine. I've sat in suspension a lot longer than a year before, so it's not a week. I can handle a week. We'll be fine.
Ben is always the one that's in the principal's office, y'all. If y'all are not noticing now, if you notice, Ben is always in the principal's office, and now he's in the principal's office with YouTube. Ain't that?
With YouTube. Yeah, man, it is what it is. But you know, we're gonna fight our way through it. Listen, you sent some links to me yesterday, and one thing I love about I love these summaries, these graphics, these infographics that people make that give a really good summary of any particular topic. And this one was on Instagram. Tell us about this one. And this one deals with critical race theory. But I think it's such a boogeyman that it's really important that the images like this really spread around so people can actually know what the heck we're talking about. What critical race theory really is versus what Republicans and conservatives try to scare people around. What was that you sent me?
Absolutely. So I actually got it from Miss B, MXB. Thank you, B. I appreciate you. Actually posted the link yesterday, and I actually read it, and I saw it. I'm just like, man, this is very informational, because there were actually a few things that I didn't know about myself. So going through this, it makes it easier to understand, recognize what's going on, and gain some knowledge from it. You know, so we are understood, and we have the knowledge, because knowledge is power. Always. Right. So Absolutely. It's good to know this information, get it out there and share it. I posted it on my page as well, too. So if you're following on my Instagram, DJX3C, you can go back, get the story yourself, share it, and make sure that you read it, go through it, and have a discussion about it. It's time to have that discussion, have these talks, because it needs to be talked about. It really does.
Yeah. And this is from Courtney on Design on Instagram. We have it on the screen here for anyone who's listening in the listening audience, podcast audience. But we're going to read through them. It's a beginner's guide to critical race theory, and it was created and posted by Courtney on Design on Instagram. Take it away, James.
All right. 1, what is critical race theory? CRT is a 40-year-old framework that recognizes racism as a social construct carried out by historic and prevailing systems, institutions, and policies that are perceived as a normal part of society. CRT looks directly at the way law creates and upholds racial inequities. So we're talking about segregation, slavery, education disparities, redlining, and criminal justice policy. On the next slide, we have 2, the core principles of CRT. Racism is deeply embedded into all systems, policies, and institutions. It's not just a few bad apples. Let's say that again. It's not just a few bad apples. Law upholds racism, plus has the power to absolve it. Centering BIPOC experience, racism is a normal part of society. Race is a construct. CRT is a verb. It's not static, and it's always evolving. And this is absolutely true. It is very important, because we see this evolving through our years, because from the 50s up until now, you'll see how they handle stuff coming back up in the 50s and the 60s. But now it's totally different. Back then, it seems like they would hide some stuff. You have the Ku Klux Klan that was hiding in plain sight, if you will. Now they're out in the open with it. Okay, they're out here. So it's constantly evolving. 3.
Before we go to 3 real quick, because this is the reason I want to share it, because it's actually really, really rich. I had never really, Brother Mack, what do you think about that line there? Critical race theory is a verb. It's not it's not static, and it's always evolving. That I never really considered that. What do you think, Doc?
Well, you know, from an engineering standpoint, let me explain to you what static means. Static means forces at work on an object that is still. Dynamic is forces on an object in motion. So what we're saying is racism, in effect, this thing is in motion in every aspect of American life. It's very, very dynamic. It is not static in any shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah. I like that distinction. So critical race theory is not static. It is therefore dynamic in terms of how it's approaching these systems. James, appreciate that. Go ahead, Brother James. It's in your hands.
All right. What CRT really says, what it really says, race is a social construct. Racism is carried out by systems and institutions. Historic and prevailing oppression affects BIPOC's experiences, racial consciousness. Racism is cloaked in normal beliefs and practices. Racism is cloaked in normal beliefs and practices. Okay. And when I read that, it lets me know that goes to say that white supremacists teaching their kids what they feel is normal versus what is reality. Yeah. Law has the power to uphold and dissolve racism. Inequity hurts all. Anti-racism benefits all.
Hang on there, because the next column is equally as important. But this first column, I think it really gets to some things that are really manipulated by the media. I want to define that BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, People of Color, is the acronym for BIPOC. And what that third line on your graphic says: historic and prevailing oppression affects BIPOC, Black and Indigenous People of Color experiences. Meaning that, listen, you cannot sever our real world experiences today from all of the historical baggage and current baggage of white supremacy in this system, is what I read there.
Absolutely. Agreed. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. All right. What CRT is not. Race is biological. Racism is carried out only by individuals. Racism is only carried out by individuals,
and these are in the not category, right? These are in the
not category,
right? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem, Ben. All right, racism is a thing of the past. Absolutely not. Racism is here, prevalent still. Color blindness. Racism is isolated and always overt. Law is inertly neutral and apolitical. All white people are bad, should feel guilty.
So these are the things that they try to tell us that critical race theory is. But this is literally, and this is what bothers me, James and Brother Mack. Like, I understand it's a part of the game. I'm not shocked by it. I'm not surprised by it. But the level of lies and propaganda and the way they make a boogeyman out of something is so patently obvious and transparent. But because they're so effective with their propaganda, we actually have to slow down, take a minute. Courtney on Design had to take a minute and actually do all this research, pull all this together. And Dr. Carl Hart said about Toni Morrison, which is a quote from Toni Morrison that says that racism, the purpose for racism is to slow us down and to occupy our time. Because of their lies, we have to do this. Go ahead, James.
Absolutely. All right. Number 4, why is CRT under debate? It is, but it really isn't. Critics of CRT don't understand or intentionally create a false definition of it, claiming that it's anti-white. What? To argue against CRT. What happens, and this is a quote from Ibrahim X. Kennedy, what happens when a politician falsely proclaims what you think and then criticizes that proclamation? Is she really critiquing your ideas or her own? And Ibram X. Kennedy said there is no debate over critical race theory. There's really no debate. Let's get that clear. Now, this isn't said to invalidate the very real attack on CRT, but to show how ignorance and misinformation are being weaponized. Say that again. This isn't said to invalidate the very real attack on CRT, but to show how ignorance and misinformation are being weaponized. And we can all agree we saw that within the past 4 to 5 years with 45 spewing false information in just the country from white supremacists.
What do you think about that line there, Brother Matt? Because that's interesting. Number 4, the line that you just read, James, about why critical race theory is under debate. And there's the Courtney on Design, her premises or their premises that it isn't under debate. Critics of critical race theory don't understand or intentionally create a false definition of it, claiming that it's anti-white. that's a pretty decent summary of where we really are in this debate, this so-called debate, because there's really, there's nothing to debate, in my opinion. Dr. Mack, what do you think about critical race theory?
Well, likewise. I mean, listen, let's take critical race theory off the table. Let's just look at history the way it's being taught now. History the way it's being taught now is under the ideology of, quote unquote, the lost cause. And the lost cause is an ideology that said that the secession of the states, the southern states, to form the Confederacy was a noble and heroic cause. They were not the ones that started the Civil War. Slavery was a good system. Those of us, our ancestors who were enslaved, they were happy. The South was fighting for its, quote, way of life. And in order to prove this, in saying that their efforts were heroic, you don't put statues up of ordinary people. So when you saw these Confederate monuments going up all over the place, they now turned this ideology of the lost cause of why the Civil War was fought into concrete actions that we see every day. When you saw those Confederate flags constantly flying, they took that ideology and made it a realism. Now, for that level of thinking, now if you compare the lost cause to critical race theory, nobody argued the ideology of the lost cause. But now that we're talking about critical race theory, and let me define critical race theory in a very simple way. It is an all-inclusive history being taught. What happened to African Americans in this country? What happened to Native Americans in this country? What happened to any other group that immigrated to this country in their history, their exposure in America? That is simply what we're trying to get to. And then what were the root causes of what America did to the Native Americans by taking them off land and placing them on a reservation? And if they found that the land that they placed them on was full of oil, well, let's relocate them to some other land, put them on some barren piece of land that they don't have water, they don't have their food supply of honey. What happened to African Americans when you enslaved them and now this country was built on free labor? What happened to, any group? What happened to women when you marginalized them and didn't give them the right to vote? Or you had cases of domestic violence, but that was just the way it is. Or when you had grown men marrying 12-year-old girls back in the day. So when you take a look at true American history, this more holistic approach, that is the deal. But to say that they're ignorant about it, oh no, they're very much aware of it. So the ignorance part, I'm going to push that out of it. But their ability to spin, that is why they put these think tanks together so that they can now, whenever they see progress coming or they see any type of critical thinking, which is what history allows you to do, to now look at a situation in a more holistic, in a clear view. Well, especially if that view is going to put them in a negative light, well, let's create a narrative to debunk that. That is exactly what the other side is doing. Because to say that you don't want to tell the whole story, I just want to tell history from a white, glorious perspective. That is an abomination of history.
That's it. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's number 5.
Yeah, number 5. A few reminders. Excuse me. The attack on CRT may be trending now, but it's a part of a pattern of white supremacy targeting ideas that challenge it, BLM, American history, cancel culture, and it won't stop with CRT. One of the most powerful tools of white supremacy is using misinformation and ignorance to uphold the status quo. Critical race theory is based on the same tenets of almost all of bar training. Legislation outlawing CRT in school has passed in Idaho, Iowa, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. And while it's vague as F, it has real consequences. Acknowledging our country's mistakes and rectifying them to create a more equitable future for all is what patriotism looks like.
That's a fact. I like that last point.
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
more slide. What's the next one say? I think there's one more.
Oh, that's it. That's the last one.
That's it. Oh, okay.
Yes, number 5 was it. Yeah.
Man, no, I really appreciate Courtney putting that together because they have a masterwork that they do in terms of propaganda. And what I've learned, James and Brother Mack, is that the best way to fight back against propaganda is simplicity and to be able to communicate very effectively so people can know for themselves. Nobody have to wonder if critical race theory is this mystical thing where it gives black people magical powers to oppress white people through reverse racism. Right? This is what they're painting, this big picture of critical race theory, and it's very intentional because it is the necessary boogeyman to give conservatives what they need to get their base angry enough to win the midterms of 2022. That's what it is. It is the war on Christmas. By the time Christmas comes around, we'll not be talking about critical race theory anymore. We would have shifted to whether or not Starbucks puts on Merry Christmas on your coffee, on your latte, right? And then they're going to come right back to critical race theory for the duration of 2022 in order to scare their base up. And the only way that we could really fight, because here's the detrimental consequences to this is, and Brother Mack, you're absolutely right. They are not ignorant of their devices. They are very, very intentional in their methodology of undermining the fight of black people in this country in order to create, or by, not in order, but by using a boogeyman like critical race theory. Brother Mack, get a quick word on that, and then I want y'all to see this other clip that I brought with me.
You know, listen, my mentor always taught me, he who defines rules. So when you hear things like the pen is mightier than the sword, here is a quintessential example of that. If they're able to define what critical race theory is, then and we accept their definition, they're going to win this battle. So that's why, you know, what DJ is now bringing to our audience right now in defining and helping us to understand what critical race theory is. That's why it's important, so that we can define it. Otherwise, we're left to them to now define what it is. And so we must fight that at every turn. We have to fight that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Real quick, we only have a few minutes left before Rebecca joins us and we go into Like or Not. I got to play this clip of House Minority Leader, United States Representative House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, as he is on a show with Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin, if you know the YouTube space, you know who Dave Rubin is. If not, don't let me trouble you with finding out who Dave Rubin is. Here's a House Minority Leader, the most powerful Republican in the country right now besides Donald Trump, as he attempts to whitewash Dr. King yet again. Now, this isn't nothing new. This isn't anything new, but Bernice King, the daughter of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., came out on Twitter to respond to Kevin McCarthy. So I have the first clip. It's only 9 seconds, but it's 9 seconds of him doing a masterwork of whitewashing the entire legacy of Dr. King. Let's watch that clip.
Critical race theory goes against everything Martin Luther King has ever told us. Don't judge us by the color of our skin. And now they're embracing it, right? They're going backward.
Very simple clip, very short clip, but it dovetails perfectly into how they're using critical race theory to whitewash racism in this country, period, by whitewashing Dr. King. I got a lot more to add to it, but Brother Mack, your first response.
Well, you know, they've done that. Even now when you talk about the hard-fought gains of African Americans, let's say during that period of the ending of chattel slavery with the 13th, 14th, 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment giving us citizenship, 15th Amendment giving black men the right to vote. Clearly, we as a people were of the Republican Party. So today they want to come out and say, hey, it was the Republican Party that did this. Well, I defy anybody in the Republican Party to tell me who amongst the Republican Party today reminds you of Charles Sumner. Who in the Republican Party today reminds you of Thaddeus Stevens? And so for those of us who may not know who these brothers were, Charles Sumner was a senator from Massachusetts, and you'll see a cartoon of him being beat down on the floor of the Senate, blood dripping from him. That's how bad he got beaten, and he was beaten because of his pro-black views. Thaddeus Stevens was a brother from Pennsylvania in the House who helped get the legislation through, Senate Bill number 60. Both he and Sumner did this. Sumner did it on the Senate. Thaddeus Stevens did it in the House, where they got Senate Bill number 60 through both houses. And Senate Bill number 60 was a bill that was supposed to give us 40 acres and a mule. Show me anybody in the Republican Party today that even closely resembles anybody of the Republican Party yesterday. And so what they failed to realize is that we are not blind and stupid. We are going to follow whichever party has our interest in. And at that time, when the Republican Party had our interest, yes, we would be with them. Trust and believe. If the Republican Party had our interest today, you would find us there. But because we see, show me where legislation to give us 40 acres and a mule resembles anything like voter suppression. Go back, even if you just want to just stay on voter suppression. The Republican Party of 1870 passed the 15th Amendment to give black men the right to vote. Today, you're now trying to take that vote away. Tell me how you want to lay claim to the efforts of the Republican Party. This is why it's so important for us to understand our history. So in all of the definitions of critical race theory, from our perspective alone, just think of it in this simplistic way. Critical race theory is now taking history as it was taught to us, as it is being taught to our children, and infusing the Black experience in the contributions in the development of America.
That's it. Dwayne, I want to play both clips now. I want to play the first clip of Kevin McCarthy again, and then I want to play a clip of what one of my friends on Twitter, I want to give the proper, I didn't find this, one of my friends on Twitter found this, but I want to play the 9-second clip. And this is my friend on Twitter, Silly Mike 7. I didn't come up with the Twitter handle. My friend on Twitter name is Silly Mike 7. I want to play the first clip from Kevin McCarthy. It's 9 seconds. And then here's a 5-second clip of Dr. King reading McCarthy for filth. Let's play them back to back.
Critical race theory goes against everything Martin Luther King has ever told us. Don't judge us by the color of our skin. And now they're embracing it, right? They're going backward.
Not that. Okay. Do you have the video? Maybe I didn't upload it. I thought I did. The video of Dr. King basically saying what he said. Oh, you see it? Okay, run that clip for me. Let's set it up. Let's set it up one more time. Okay.
Critical race theory goes against everything Martin Luther King has ever told us. Don't judge us by the color of our skin. And now they're embracing it, right? They're going backward.
And a lot of white folk have demonstrated eloquently that they don't have no sense.
Ben, let me also put this.
That's right.
Because let me put this in another way of what Dr. King just said. Victor Hugo said this: if a soul is left in the darkness, sins shall be committed. The crime is not he who committed the sin, but he who caused the darkness. So what Dr. King was saying is that white folks, you have caused this darkness. And now what we want to do in critical race theory, we want to show how you caused that darkness and how that darkness has resulted in sins. See?
That's
you
it
better
right
preach.
There.
You better preach, Brother Mack.
Right there.
That'll preach. That'll preach right there. We can have some church
today.
And that's from a Sunday school dropout. Let's keep that in mind. That's from a Sunday school dropout. Like it or not.
I was just about to say you forgot like it or not.
My dog.
But James, because I'm gonna share this clip pretty far and wide. This particular clip, the Young Turks want me to discuss this, and I want to get your input on this. I might even get Rebecca. I should have asked Georgia because I want everybody to chime in on this eventually because the games that these folks are playing with us is ridiculous. Bernice King read him for filth in her most professional and eloquent way. I want to put that up on the screen so I can read what she said, and on behalf of her father, she said, "Representative McCarthy, I encourage you to study my father's teachings and words well beyond the last lines of I Have a Dream. This nation has yet to firmly commit to the intensive, multifaceted work of eradicating racism against black people. You should help with that. Please read this." And then the next image was a copy of Dr. King's book of Where Do We Go From Here? That's the one we put up a few moments ago. She shared that image saying that he should read that. James, I love what Dr. King said, and I love how Dr. Mack framed it. Just these games, man. These games. We're not. They really think that people aren't intelligent enough to understand nuance. But do they really think black folks are so stupid as to not understand what Dr. King was actually saying when he not only in that one speech, I Have a Dream, but throughout the totality of his life. Do they really believe we're that stupid, James?
You know, if they do believe that they're stupid, then they just don't know us at all. But the bad part about it, the bad part about it is that I really do think they believe that we're that stupid. Y'all can keep thinking that if you want to.
Yeah.
You'll find out. You'll find out.
Like it or not.
Like it or not.
Like it or not. You know, Ben, and since they want to quote King, and as Sister King said so eloquently, don't take what you want out of context. Study this man's life, because if you want to go to I Have a Dream, let's just get this little clip in.
Get that part, yeah.
But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later. And in this case, 58 years later, after he gave that speech, McCarthy. Don't pick and choose, player. Read the whole thing. Like it or not.
Go to break. Nothing else. Go to break. James.
This man.
Take us to break. When we come back, Rebecca Azor is joining us. We got Benjamin Dixon Show, Like It or Not, on the clock. We just have a morning full of stream of amazing black content. We'll be right back after this quick break. Like it or not.
Woo! How do we go to break after that? I don't know. But good morning again, y'all. Good morning again. Woo, that was a good one, man. Make sure that y'all hit that like button, share, and subscribe, y'all, so y'all know when Like It or Not. The Benjamin Dixon Show is on the clock. It's going down, man. Laura Estrada, good morning to you, man. Good morning. Like It or Not is starting up next, y'all, so make sure that you stay tuned. Edward Green, good morning.
Girl, I'm trying to taste it.
Brother Matt just took us all the way to church, goddamn. Oh my gosh.
The room, you know it's on site. She all on my type. And you know I don't like to wait, no. But she look good. You ain't gotta stand in the mirror with your makeup on, cause you know that take way too long. I just want that right now. Girl, you Uber outside. I can't wait just to get this on.
Right, Church Round Pew, good morning. Mara Sharice, good morning to you, sister. Good morning. Esther, good morning. Fairy Girl, good morning, y'all.
I've been waiting on you to pull up. Girl, I know you got a man, but he can stay at home.
No Humanist, good morning.
Taking you down, that drink too strong. We can roll up. My baby, just hold up. Say you got a friend.
Brother Goku, good man, my brother, good man.
I know you need it, not to sound conceited, but girl,
Demon Yama Mama, good morning to you.
But she look good. You ain't gotta stand in the mirror with your makeup on, cause you know that take way too long. I just want that right now, girl, you Uber outside. I can't wait just to get this on. You want it right now. Want it right now. Don't take too long. You want it right now. Want it right now. Don't take too long.
Kimberly, good morning. Kim, good morning to you. Ear Hustler, good morning. Good morning. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in from Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Yeah, good morning to y'all. Rain the Soul, good morning.
The earth, 10 toes deep, flower child from the turf. I never switch sides. Even when I die, I'ma ride for the squad. Let up ties in the hearse. I've been on the vibe, kinda hard to
Truth the Dragon, this is Earth, light it up.
But I'm tired of the grind. Then I come alive in the night to realize.
Rain, me too, man. This is like one of my favorite songs.
Never so packed for the stack, never lied on the rap. Got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson, do that ass survive, doing 80 to the house. Then I hit it to the sky, change haters on a tirade. Talking to the grip in the face, be still, let the hate stuff fade. We all want the same, we all want a meal in the safe. I wanna live.
Evergreen, good morning.
Just spill from my lips, feel big from the bit, take a sip, to the ass out. Try and get grip, but it don't make sense, cause you can lose life on this fast ride.
Vid Carrick said, trust and believe. I nominate Dr. Mack to be the first democratically elected king of Wakanda. I feel that.
That is cap. 5-hour flight, couple nights at the flat. To be real, couldn't see me. Grind every time when I chat. Say I keep the demon the way. When I write it, give a piece of myself to the page. I don't do it for the praise, love. That's just how I'm made.
From the glass in the mirror.
Yeah.
Do it at me, old man, trying to pass in the fear. You're the first one to talk, but the last one to hear. Eyes blurry, but I couldn't see that. Then he cleared down. Start to feel like I'm on one. Settle in, I'll be here for the long run. I'm a slave for the cash. Got snakes in the grass, no brakes on the net, but it's all fun. We done seen it all, heard it all. Heard enough, give me space before I murder y'all. 10 bad bitches here, I'ma curve them all. 12 missed calls, and I still made a curtain call. Here to light it up, lighten up. Hear him talking, they ain't right enough, tighten up. Everything that I came for, I love.
Brother Lateef, you right. This should be the inauguration song. This is officially the song of Wakanda. Yes, yes. Brother Chuck Diesel said this song makes you want to shadow box, do the electric slide, and a cartwheel at the same time, and then also go riot and protest in the middle of the street, all at the same time. All right, y'all. Like It or Not is coming up next, starting now. Here we go. Welcome to the screen, Rebecca Azor, Benjamin Dixon, Brother Carl Mack, and who guess who else? Myself. Hey, y'all.
Light it up, light it up.
So you know what? I don't like that we don't play our intro anymore. It has to roll in with the intro. So tomorrow, when we start Like It or Not, around the 9 o'clock hour, we got to roll it in with the intro, okay? Because it's I like it with the intro.
We can, but it still says Benjamin Dixon. Still got that music more than anything else. It still got the.
That's fine.
You know.
That's fine. Bubba, out of the music that we picked, just choose any one of those and then let's roll with it.
Give us some better music.
I need
Dwayne, do you still have it?
I need for it to flow so that we can definitely.
Yeah, you still have the intro. Yeah. Play real quick. Play the intro for her real quick.
Okay. Wait. I got you. Wait.
We're gonna do the whole introduction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look, okay, here we go. Y'all ready?
Yeah, give us 10 seconds of that last song. Okay. Yeah, 10 seconds, and then we got to.
All right, y'all. Like It or Not, it's starting up next, and it starts right now. It's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth
and not care who doesn't like it. Okay, see,
is that better?
Good morning, Dr. Carl Mack. Good morning, everybody on the screen. It is Tuesday,
morning, Dr. Mack.
and we are in the house this morning. Okay, we're in the house this morning. I didn't get a chance to watch the show earlier, the two other shows earlier, because I had some corporate work. But I am here with y'all this morning. I mean, how are you guys feeling? Tell me. There's a lot in the news, and I know that there are some new developments with Haiti, y'all. I can't wait to get to that a little later. And there is this particular Karen story. I know, Ben, you asked me what I wanted to start with this morning, and I really want to start with that one because there's so much to unpack there as well. So, Bubba, I know that you dropped that news earlier this morning or yesterday. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, once again, just me scrolling through Instagram, and I saw this video, and someone sent it to me, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, what's going on with this video? So to set the video up, it is a African-American girl, one of our sisters, sitting in Victoria's Secrets, minding her business and buying her some.
Getting a free panty. She got the free panty coupon in the mail.
Getting her free panties. And the next thing you know, this Karen runs over to her and tries to attack her and hit her. So she steps back, and the next thing you know, it's just all out hell. And once you see this video, you will see what we're talking about. Now, granted, the video is about 3 minutes long, but it warrants a full 3-minute watch, because once you see the actions of how this Karen acted and everything that went on, y'all will see they feel that they are superior and they run everything and they can act like the hell they want to act in the middle of the goddamn
It's the
story.
white fragility.
Hell no.
I think this is a good example of the white fragility, the white tears. Yes.
Wild.
And a lot of the what we've been talking about for the last few weeks of when white women cry, everybody in trouble. But let's take a look.
Oh God, no, it's you. Now you are. Oh my God! Oh my God! Do you see this? Oh my God! I never thought nothing like this would happen to me. She just tried to run and hit me. And now she... Did you see her? You saw her, right? They all saw her. Oh my God. Karen had a breakdown. She tried to hit me. Ask your workers. She tried to hit me. She tried to hit me. Now I want security for you. Oh my God. Oh my God. You should have thought about that before you did what you did.
She's serious.
Oh my God.
Response shot.
Feel real.
I had to mute myself, y'all.
Please don't record me. Don't record me.
You tried to hit the lady.
Had to get security. She charged
She did.
me. If I wouldn't have ducked, she would. Oh no, you just wanted security for me, right? I want security for you now. No, don't cry. No. I want you to call security. Thank you. I just came to get my free panty. You know how you get the coupon in the mail? And I got to pick up my Converse boots from Nordstrom's. I don't know why this is happening to me. Don't charge me. Oh,
a single panty.
Yeah,
a single panty. This one, the free one.
I'm scared to even approach her. Please. You scaring me. Like you gotta go postal. Don't record.
Oh my gosh, bro.
It's like a whole mental breakdown.
No, I was here. No. We're not doing this.
Come on.
Why don't I walk away from her? Why don't she get away from me? She could get away. Go wherever you want to go.
No, 10 seconds. We need. This ain't the video then. Because
we got the second one.
Oh.
We got the second one.
No, not the one that I dropped. It's not the one that I put in there. There is an extension to this video. That's why he said it was 3 minutes long, because there's an extension where she literally puts her hands on her head. Okay, and this whole video begins with her charging and not knowing that Lil Mama was already recording, right?
Right.
And at this point, she once she realizes that, oh God, she has her camera out. She does this for like, I think longer than 3 minutes, but the way that it's, set up. But there is a part where she's standing near the register, where she's standing now. She puts her hand on her head, y'all. And she breathes, and then she falls to the floor.
Oh my God.
She falls to the floor and acts like she has passed out. People around her, the cashiers, people around her are literally just continuing to utilize their coupons for their free panties, getting the 5 for 25. The cashiers are like, you can go around her. You can go around her the whole entire time.
They straight ignoring her.
As she's screaming, but she does so much. And then there is even another instance within that video after she finished fainting onto the floor where she gets up. Now she chases the woman recording her around. And then she's like, this woman is going to attack me. This woman is going to attack me. So in the video that I posted is going to be her sitting in I believe like the mall police department or whatever. And she's speaking to them and she's saying to them, she's like, hey, I want to press charges. I want to know what I can do to the 2 officers who did nothing as this woman literally tried to attack me. And I had to keep my phone on just in case people said it didn't happen. And he was saying, well, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like you need to report them? Why do you feel like you were attacked? He was questioning her and her experience. And she said to him in that second video, she explains herself. She's like, I'm emotional. I'm emotional about this. And now I got to come to you and be emotional about my protection. And you are just counting me out. Basically, it's what she said. Let's take a look if we have that video.
We don't have the second one yet. I'll grab the second one, but we have the one that you sent the follow-up. I don't have the one of her falling out.
No, that's what I'm talking about. The follow-up with her speaking to law enforcement.
Oh, okay. So we have that one. All right, run that one, Dwayne.
Investigating the report. You're asking me why I'm complaining on your officers, and I'm telling you I can show you a video, and you're telling me you don't want to see the video.
I don't want to hear from your mouth. What is it?
All right, so I was in the mall. Basically, they didn't protect me. They didn't try to make from the woman that attacked me and chased me around the store. They didn't ask her to leave or anything. They said they weren't able to. They weren't able to ask her to leave the mall. I've never heard of such a thing. Because if I was chasing her around the store, I'm sure I would have been asked to leave the mall and or arrested.
That's right.
And I showed him the video.
Why do you believe that?
What you mean why do I believe that? Because
why do you believe that?
Okay. I really don't want to play this game again today. You know, this happened to me Saturday. I'm very emotional about it. Okay, I'm asking you, I want to file a complaint against your 2 officers. You said I can do that with you, right? Because
that's infuriating because the level that lady performed at, that white lady in the video that we watched, and for those of you listening, you can hear her, the level that she performed at has historically been sufficient enough to get black people killed. And for this sister to have recorded it and have video and to go to the police officers and say, I have video, and they not care to look at the video, is just a testament to how this, had she not had any video, that white woman would have called the cops on her and she probably would have been in trouble.
Have you guys as black men, right? Because I can share so many experiences that I've had with white people, all the way since I was white women, white females, right? Since I was young, right? And as a woman, since I was young, my little white neighbors, they did this. They would do this. We're at the playground. My little white neighbor friends, Abby and her little sister, Caitlin, that was both of their names.
You put don't put the whole government name out.
It's crazy. I don't know what they're doing with their life now, but I'm talking about if something would happen, it wasn't my fault, but anything, they would cry just like this. They were taught to do this tantrum, that this tantrum was okay. Up into when I got older and I would probably be in the store surrounding my area, and a white woman would probably be in front of me, and she would disrespect my mama. A lot of the white women would disrespect my mama because my mama had an accent and at the time didn't speak great English. And if I would step in and be like, you can't talk to my mama like that, and they'd be like, oh my God, she's trying to touch me. And my mama would be so confused, like, what's going on? And this has happened multiple times in so many different stores, grocery stores, shopping stores, like anything. They have done this. I've experienced this. Or me going to help my mom and translate somewhere in a governmental office, and these white people will be there and they'll do the same thing. So I ask you guys as black men, have you guys ever experienced this? Because when I think about that, y'all, I think about things like Emmett Till. You know what I mean? So have you guys ever experienced anything like that?
Yeah, it was called in my world of when I was in the profession of engineering, if I, as a young black man, came up and I was very confident, I was described as arrogant or aggressive. And if I disagreed with anything, then I was labeled, quote, the angry black man, right? Whereas if my white counterparts came up and they had this level of confidence, that's exactly how it was described. They would be described as confident, assured of themselves. If I came up with that, I was arrogant. So, and then throughout history, just think about the testimony of some white women against black men. And 2 cases come to mind quickly. Clearly in 1921, when we saw the Black Wall Street massacre, that was one case. Another case is the Scarborough boys. When these brothers were riding on the train and these two white women claimed that they raped them. But then under testimony, one of the white women said, look, we made it up. It didn't happen. Yet these brothers were absolutely thrown the book. And then most of us are familiar with the exonerated 5 in Central Park. Similar situation. So, when you now you talk about the same thing with the brother who was out bird watching, and the white woman claims, I'm going to call the police. And she said, and they're going to believe me. You absolutely know that. So if we bring this back, Ben and family, to critical race theory, this is why white folks need to study the history and understand how racism permeates itself throughout society. Because, see, this is this white privilege that we're talking about that exists. You could just simply lay claims. And in the case of this sister in the mall talking to the security, she's saying, versus you trust what I'm going to tell you, let me show you the video. No, I don't want to watch the video. See, this is an example of why we're talking about racism permeating itself throughout the landscape of America. And when it's presented, you don't even want to look at that. You will not believe your own lying eyes. Right. Back when Rodney King was beaten, you got a videotape of it. I'm not going to believe my lying eyes. Sandra Bland, I'm not going to believe my lying eyes. Tamir Rice, I'm not going to believe my lying eyes. This is why this is a push for critical race theory, so that you can see how the racism permeates itself. Go back through cases after cases of where you can have the exact same judge. I knew that there were cases where the exact same judge had a black child and a white child to come before them with the exact same charges. And you saw the leniency given by this white judge to the white child, and yet the book is thrown at the black child. Black children. Case in point, Sha'Carri Richardson. See, no matter what quote, and so many black folks want to say, well, she broke the rule. Well, check this out, family. And I've been wanting to say this shit for a long time. So like it or not, here it is. See, in every rule that is established, every rule of law that is established, whoever the judge is, that judge has something called discretion.
That's it.
And what we see time and time and time again throughout history is that great discretion is given when somebody who is in power to make the judgment is given that judgment or given that punishment against somebody who looks like them. And then when that person who is in power to render punishment is now finna administer that punishment to somebody who looks like us, there is no discretion. So see, much discretion should have been given if you looked at the holistic circumstances around Sister Richardson. But instead, now you got black folks drinking the Kool-Aid, and trust and believe, family, it ain't red Kool-Aid. You're drinking grape some shit. We don't drink grape Kool-Aid. Damn it, the color is red, okay? So see, there is no discretion there. So you throw the book at Sister Richardson. You throw the book at all when it comes to us. And that is an example of what we just watched Karen do. Oh my God, you know.
Wait. We got to get to some of these impersonations, because you just got done doing a Dr. King impersonation that was spot on, and then you just did a Karen impersonation.
I missed it.
The Karen impersonation is the thing. Dr. Mack sound
let
like
me speak
Dr.
on this
Mack,
real quick, because Dr. Mack just said something that's really true, because I'm going through this right now. Being the big black man in my office with the beard and everything else, it's happened to where it seems I'm passionate about what I do, because I know what I do, and I've been doing it long enough to know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm not giving instruction or direction, or if I'm talking about something, it's coming from a place of knowledge, and I know what the hell I'm talking about. So once I get passionate and I start shooting out my emails or saying something, the Karens at my job, we'll call them Karens, it seems like it always goes to the higher up level, and it's like, hey, James, they're concerned that you may be a little bit too aggressive. Too aggressive. So now I got the angry black man mentality, is what you're saying, because that's how you're treating me. They're
choosing that tone because they know what the color of your skin is. They know how you look. So when your email is sent, they automatically add that to it. You know what's crazy? So a lot of people responses happened online. I want to read a few of the tweets in response to this. So somebody said, since we can't pass a bill to stop modern day lynchings, right? Can we at least classify white fragility as a felony? Because for centuries, the tears of white women have stained the very fabric that belongs to the dignity and souls of Black women. And I would say Black men too. Adrienne Lawrence, who is a friend to the show, she said, it's hard to watch the Victoria's Secret Karen video as the white woman was clearly the aggressor and threatening, yet everyone responded as though the Black woman was the problem and needed to curb her behavior. I've lived that level of misogynoir. It's far from funny. Somebody else went on to say and address the situation and say, this is not this is not mental illness. This is a white woman that quickly saw a camera, remembered how the scenario plays out publicly for Karens, and used her tears and theatrics to try and successfully get out of the situation and make the Black woman the villain, a move they know works. Lastly, Bree Newsom says, the pattern of behavior people label as Karen is about white women flexing power by weaponizing their tears and manipulating others to accommodate what they know is a lie. Their awareness that non-white women can't manipulate with the same ease provides the sense of racial privilege. The fact that we know this off rip, the fact that we know we can walk into a store or we can go anywhere, we can be in the workplace, Black woman or Black man, and a white Karen, she could be in a position of power or not. As soon as she switches these tears, as soon as she begins to cry, cry wolf, literally, just be out there and say, oh my God, like this happened to me. Everybody will rush to her side. Let it have been me. Let it have been me. If the roles were reversed, let it have been me, Rebecca Azor. They would have dragged my ass out of that mall. I would have been either in handcuffs. I would have been embarrassed, y'all. I would have been embarrassed. This would have been put all over the news that a Black woman attacks female shopper in Victoria's Secret.
That's the headline.
Okay. They would have made sure they put that line of separation there. Because why? What they automatically do is what you said, Bubba. They're going to vilify me first. They're going to give me a tone. They don't know my background. They don't know nothing about me. But they're going to vilify me first. They're going to make it seem like I was the one that came out there to grab and drag. So
and Rebecca, you're absolutely right, and like they did with this sister. And then somebody else brought up something this more in that video. You have the other shoppers, the other white women that are there behind her, telling the Black lady to just walk away. Walk away from what? This was the one that's acting the fool, and I didn't even do nothing.
She was the manager there.
Looking at. That was what we were literally just looking at with the lady in front of the counter with the mask on, telling the Black woman to back away. And
she Rebecca, even told her to put her camera down. She said, can you just do what she said? Can you just put your camera down?
There's nothing more frustrating than to be the victim of, let's just say, a crime. To be a victim of the crime and then see the person who committed that crime against you get protected by this entire system. And that's what we saw with this white woman in this video, right? With this Karen in this video. And it happens all the damn time. It happens historically. Brother Mack, you went through it. Rebecca, you mentioned Emmett Till. All the times that we've seen the tears of aggrieved white women lead to danger and often death for Black people. But in this video, it's an extension, and we see this Black woman having to sit down with authorities. She has the video footage. She can demonstrate that she is a victim, and the authorities don't care. So what is it like? You want to know what it's like? Ask Black people in this country. Ask indigenous people. What is it like to see the people who have oppressed you get protected by the entire system that surrounds you? And that's why this video is important. That's why critical race theory is important, because it reflects exactly the reality in this country, that when we lift our heads up from the work that we're doing, there's an entire group of people who are willing to make us both the victims as well as the victimizers in the press.
Well, it was quite alarming to see.
You know, Brother Dixon, one of the things that Malcolm said, and we have to remember what Brother Malcolm said. Brother Malcolm said, if you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. And so they have a long history of that. Even when you look at the first 3-hour film that was made in this country, Birth of a Nation, it is clear from history that the South absolutely feared Abraham Lincoln, which is why South Carolina seceded from the Union. But in this movie, they made Abraham Lincoln a very friendly person to the South. And again, in this movie, speaking of Karens, part of the glorious chivalrousness of the Ku Klux Klan was so that they can protect the sanctity of Black women against this barbaric, sexually starved Black man, this beast who wants nothing more in life than to lay with your Karen. America has a great, great history of doing this thing. And again, I'll say it again, this is part of that critical thinking that we can do when we understand the history of this nation as it applies to us as a people.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say was it's quite alarming to see this, but know that, in any innovative thing, we're going to have a representation of this in some way, shape, or form, right? And most recently, we had on TikTok, white women for fun show how this is some kind of gift that they have, where they can go from crying these tears, just crying, full tears from their eyes, okay? Like little Satan spawns, like they're just like crying, and then they do this thing with their face, and then they take it off. They stop crying, and they show how that is some kind of like gift that they have, and it became a TikTok challenge. And of course, us Black folks wasn't doing it, so it was all the white women. All the white women. I'm talking about boo-hoo crying, and then they'll do this when the music stops, and then they're back to normal. And that is very scary.
I saw that video. I'm trying to find that video right now.
We played it on the air. We played it on Like It or Not.
Yeah. That video was terrifying on a very chilling, evil, sadistic nature.
It was.
To see these women actually have tears with sobbing and everything, and then they just do a simple wipe and they're smiling and laughing. Let's change the subject, y'all, because that you just reminded me that's dangerous.
Creepy.
That's dangerous and evil.
Yeah, it's creepy. But anywho, let's take a break as we de-Karenize and get that out of our spirits. And let's take a break. Bubba, give us something good to work with. We'll be right back.
Cleanse our palate,
like
James.
it or not after this.
Cleanse our Karen palate.
The Karen palate. All right, y'all, make sure that you stay tuned. We got more music coming. More coming up on Like It or Not, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Definitely, if you want to see the whole video, it is posted on my story as well, too. DJX3C on Instagram. You can see the whole thing. It's actually a 4-minute video, and it gets even worse, especially when she falls on the floor like she ain't had no damn sense. Yeah. Please watch it. Please watch it. Justice Draconis, good morning, y'all. Good morning. Good morning, B. Good morning. Thank you again. Tears of a Karen. I think B needs to do another video soon. B, you have your assignment, B. DB404, good morning. Band of Strays, good morning. Oh wow, Band of Strays says the whole clip is actually closer to 15 minutes, split into numerous clips. So it's still more clips out there. Now I have to go find those and watch. Oh yes.
You're some kind of wonderful, some kind of magical. My love's for real. I need to show you right now. Take a look at me now. I can't explain for the life of me what you did to me when I met
It seemed like the Karens out here going wild, because Tiger just said there's another one about a knife foot and Karen from Fort Wayne. Have not heard about that one. Oh yeah, chasing the black kids down on the playground. These people, these Karens. Right, y'all, make sure that y'all hit that like button. And oh my gosh, if you have not already, patreon.com/likeitOrNot, patreon.com/likeitOrNot, so you continue to get dope ass content like this, as dope ass guests, and just have some dope ass individuals on your screen at all times, man, Monday through Friday. Y'all don't want to miss this. Patreon.com/likeitOrNot, patreon.com/likeitOrNot. Y'all make sure that y'all join ASAP, y'all. Y'all, it is time for more Like It or Not. Welcome to the screen. The family.
Welcome back.
Drinking red Kool-Aid. Dr. Matt, we don't drink grape.
We don't do grape, because what you saying? I'm drinking purple. Like, it don't even sound right.
It's got to be grape.
I'm drinking cherry Kool-Aid, strawberry.
I'm drinking grape too. I'm drinking grape Kool-Aid. I'm drinking what is it? Limeade. Like, no, we drinking red. And if you ain't drinking red,
that's the come up there in the family of me saying, I'm drinking cherry Kool-Aid.
And understand this now. It ain't what's your favorite flavor. Your favorite flavor is red, not your favorite color. What's your favorite flavor of Kool-Aid? Is red.
That's the only flavor of Kool-Aid. It's red. That's the only flavor.
Okay, I'm just gonna be bougie today because I like the peach mango Kool-Aid. I'm sorry.
Oh damn.
Because that's when people got a little money, and now they reaching out and they touching other items because they can afford the extra $1 to get the peach mango.
Hold on, Rebecca. We can't be letting Ben get away with no peach mango. Player, what's wrong with you?
That sounds real serious. We said red.
Red. DJXXclusive, I'm telling you right now, between the two of us, we're going to take this brother behind the woodshed and get him right.
Let's go, Dr. Mack.
Wait. Look, this shall be no
Boston. That's that Boston. We ain't had peach mango or whatever that was down here in the South.
All I'm going to say, listen.
That sounds very
all I'm going to say is try it before you knock it. And every single one of y'all never try red Kool-Aid again.
That sounds
always
expensive.
You're going to go. It's the same. It's the same 25-cent packet of Kool-Aid.
That Kool-Aid in Publix. We don't stop at Publix.
Ain't no peach mango Kool-Aid going with no bologna sandwich. That bologna sandwich deserves that red Kool-Aid. Player, what's wrong with you?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a bologna sandwich in some years.
Whose neighborhood is selling peach mango, Ben?
Right. Who gonna put
they
that
sell
in
it
a
out
freeze
here?
cup, Ben?
They put that. Oh my God! Let me tell you something. Put you a peach. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna put money on it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna buy everybody. I'm gonna order y'all some peach mango Kool-Aid and have it shipped to your houses. I want y'all to fix it with whatever amount of sugar you like, whatever level of diabetes you prefer. Put that amount of sugar in it, and then call me and tell me if it ain't the bangingest Kool-Aid you ever had.
I cut off my camera. I was hoping I could cut off the volume. I ain't even trying to hit it. Red.
We ain't got time for it. If it ain't red, it ain't said. Okay?
If it ain't red, it's dead.
Red
Like
is
it or not.
dead.
It's dead because it's dead, okay?
If it ain't red, you messed up in the head.
You said it ain't red, so you dead.
Period.
Oh man. Oh man.
Now we got to push you upside your head.
And even if it was, even if red Kool-Aid was in the running, it still doesn't beat the purple. You ask me what color. If you want to talk about the basic colors of Kool-Aid, flavors of Kool-Aid, give me the purple. That's me.
Oh, so you like purple?
Yeah, I love the grape Kool-Aid. Yeah.
That's a Florida thing, because I know so many people from Florida that love the purple one.
No, all Florida people like grape soda.
Yep.
There is not nobody's telling you they're gonna drink grape Kool-Aid. They're gonna tell you grape soda. Period.
Man,
they go into the store and do a Fanta grape soda. Anywho,
And a grape
y'all
soda
don't get
is
me
on
started on that because ain't nobody saying they drinking the grape tart Kool-Aid. Now, Ben, there's something in the news about vaccines. Okay? Take us there.
Y'all not gonna let me talk about my grape Kool-Aid.
Rebecca Kool-Aid gonna be
I'm sending everybody. Listen.
Rebecca Kool-Aid probably be pale as hell. You can see through Rebecca Kool-Aid.
Now listen, I'm gonna talk about this vaccine situation because it is very, very serious. We're gonna get to it, but I will say if y'all don't like me now, y'all gonna hate how little sugar I put in my Kool-Aid because I don't play. I just don't like
what,
that.
Ben?
Cloudy, you can't even drink it. It's like a sludge.
You go to the give this man a heart attack. Carl about to have a heart
you supposed
attack.
to put
You making him turn into Kool-Aid.
Dr. Mack is over here doing his pendants.
If you don't put half a bag, if you don't put a half a bag of sugar in your Kool-Aid, then you don't know how to make it right.
Ben be going to the restaurant and getting sweet tea and watering it down.
No, I go and get unsweetened tea. I get unsweetened tea and I sweeten it to my taste, but I don't necessarily use sugar.
Ben, honestly, I will walk with you hand in hand on this one. Now, guys, the older I've gotten, my old ass palate. Now that's been destroyed by every sugary thing. I'd rather high blood pressure than diabetes.
Diabetes,
okay?
yes.
I love me sodium, but I can't do the sugar like I used to.
Sugar is too much.
When I was a little thing.
I'm gonna say this to both of y'all. Just make sure neither one of you are near the beverages at the Black family reunion. Okay?
Get me away from it because I'm going to start using a sweetener called the acai sweetener. I'm going to start using that, which is great. It's a great alternative as a sweetener, and I've been using that. So
what sweetener? What alternative do you use?
It's like I believe it's acai, ACAI. And you get it. It's really good. Yeah. It's a great sweetener, and it's not like it's not bad for you. So you can put that in there, and you still get the same sweet.
Yeah.
Dr. Mack, don't worry, Dr. Mack. We all sugar over here, brother. It's okay, Dr. Mack.
Listen. I won't go.
Mack face.
It's already known at my family. I don't do the drinks at the family reunion. I cut the grits at the family reunion. Let's talk about these vaccines. Anyway, let's move on real quick before
anything with sodium. That's me. But go ahead.
Before we talk about grits. All right. So this is some reporting from Brett Kelman of the Nashville Tennessean, and it discusses the Tennessee firing their top COVID official as COVID-19 is starting a new spread. And this is reporting from Brett Kelman. He said the Tennessee state government on Monday fired its top vaccination official, becoming the latest of about 24 states to lose years of institutional knowledge about vaccines in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. The termination comes as the virus shows new signs of spread in Tennessee, and the more transmissible Delta variant surfaces in greater numbers. Now, we have a picture of Dr. Michelle Fiscus, who is the medical director for the Vaccine Preventable Diseases and Immunization Programs at the Tennessee Department of Health. She was fired. And again, this is reporting from Brett Kelman of the Nashville Tennessean. Dr. Fiscus was fired on Monday afternoon after and provided a copy of her termination letter. It provides no explanation for her termination. And this is what she said in the letter. She said, "It was my job to provide evidence-based education and vaccine access so that Tennesseans could protect themselves against COVID-19. This is what she released in her written statement. Now, this is in the backdrop of the COVID Delta variant that Noah Changa came on last week to discuss with us. We're also going to be speaking with Dr. El Sayed. He's going to be coming later on this week or next week to talk more about the Delta variant. But as the Delta variant of COVID-19 is spreading across the country, Republicans are still playing the same game they played last year, which led to over 600,000 Americans dying from COVID-19. And that's just America, right? I want to play a clip. This first clip is from Newsmax, and it is the anchor on Newsmax. His name is Rob Schmidt. And I want you to see exactly how far this derangement goes. It goes all the way to the point of where he said, this is what a conservative media outlet said about COVID-19 and the vaccine. And this is from the July 9th episode. This is recent. He said, vaccines are against nature, and some diseases are supposed to wipe out a certain amount of people. This is what conservatives are breathing and living. Let's take a look at that clip.
You know, one thing I've always thought, and maybe you can guide me on this because obviously I'm not a doctor, but when I've always thought about vaccines, and I always think about just nature and the way everything works. And I feel like a vaccination in a weird way is just generally kind of going against nature. Like, I mean, if there is some disease out there, maybe there's just an ebb and flow to life where something's supposed to wipe out a certain amount of people, and that's just kind of the way evolution goes. Vaccines kind of stand in the way of that. Do you follow what I'm saying? Does that make sense to somebody in medicine?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense to anybody in medicine because medicine has evolved over the centuries to give us vaccines to literally prevent people from dying in droves from viruses that we can keep control over. I want you to listen to this next clip. This is from Alex Berenson. He is a conservative author and conservative journalist. And I put journalist in air quotes for the listening audience. But listen to him at CPAC. This is the Conservative Political Action Conference that just took place last week. Listen to him as he describes America trying to get herd immunity, which is 90% of vaccination rates. But he says that the government tried to trick people into getting 90% immunization rates, which would have been herd immunity. And he suggests, this is a conservative journalist at a major conservative conference. He's saying that Americans knew better and the government couldn't fool us and we're not going to get 90% of vaccination rates. These are real people doing this with real lives. Play that next clip.
Clearly, they were hoping, the government was hoping, that they could sort of sucker 90% of the population into getting vaccinated, and it isn't happening, right? There's younger people are well aware of what the risks really are, and they're well aware of the side effect profile of the vaccine.
All right, one last piece of evidence, and I want to get all of y'all to chime in on this because this is every one of us is still trying to survive COVID-19 and trying to protect our families. This last clip is of Dr. Anthony Fauci. We all know him. He was one of the lead experts on COVID-19 underneath the Trump administration, and he is still with the Biden administration. He responds to this clip from Alex Berenson where he says that that herd immunity, we are not going to get it. And then the audience started applauding. Listen to Dr. Fauci as he explains how dangerous this really is. Take a listen.
Conservative political conference, CPAC, is going on this weekend. I want to play for you a clip of one of the speakers from that event yesterday.
They were hoping, the government was hoping, that they could sort of sucker 90% of the population into getting vaccinated, and it isn't happening, right? There's younger people.
I'm going to cut him off right there because he just goes on to just say things that are not true about the vaccine. But what I wanted to get your reaction to is the crowd cheering when this gentleman talks about how the government was not able to achieve a 90% vaccine goal. The crowd cheers. As a public health official, what's your reaction when you hear that?
It's horrifying. I mean, they're cheering about someone saying that it's a good thing for people not to try and save their lives. I mean, if you just unpack that for a second, Jake, it's almost frightening to say, hey, guess what? We don't want you to do something to save your life. Yay! Everybody starts screaming and clapping. I just don't get that. I mean, I don't think that anybody who's thinking clearly can get that. What is that all about? I don't understand that.
Rebecca, James, Dr. Mack, what is that all about? Rebecca, I want to start with you.
I don't know what that's all about. Listen to me. It's about a whole bunch of fools coming up with some stuff, and that you know what the conservatives are going to believe. For them to put the rhetoric out there that this vaccine, like getting the vaccine, is some kind of deep state stuff. Like, that's what I feel like. With the innovation of medicine, like, things gonna change. This vaccine is supposedly gonna help. This is what it's for. We're not doing stuff in the old days now. Mind you, I'm Haitian. We go way back to like natural remedies. Okay, so there's things like that. But even my folks is like, you might want to get the vaccine just because you travel a lot, you're here and there, and and on top of the natural remedies, the NSAIDs is going to protect you. Doctors and scientists will protect you. Like this is what people are set in place for. We can't be out here telling folks that, and it's funny because they'll utilize like grandpa's stories and stuff, like, and be like, oh, grandpa ain't get the vaccine for polio or whatever was that situation from back in the day, and they'll do stuff like that. But meanwhile, like, especially the people that are leading these conversations in the media space, I'm pretty sure that they have been vaccinated to come back into the offices or things like that. So they end up having these conversations, feeding them down to the conservatives who are now putting their own lives in danger around Billy Bob and them, who done been everywhere but home. Okay? and then here they go, possibly getting the vaccine and willing to die for conservative rhetoric and willing to die for the flag. And for them, not taking the vaccine is their freedom. Okay? That's the craziest thing. That's your choice. It's whatever. But that is their freedom as an American. It makes them more American not to be vaccinated.
That's the wildest thing about it to me, Dr. Mack, is that they call this patriotism. We're at the stage of human devolution, not evolution, but devolution, where they celebrate the very thing that's going to kill. Rebecca, you said grandparents who didn't get the polio vaccine. We try to reach out to the descendants of those people who didn't get who were anti-vax from polio. They don't exist because their grandparents died. Right? There's a whole they're trying to say, give these remedies, these anecdotes of their grandparents who survived. No, your grandparent really didn't survive polio, right? There's
that's
a
why
whole
she dead now.
That's why
she had about 5 more years on her life.
Come on,
she had about 5 more years on her life. But here y'all go talking about polio.
Don't want to talk a vaccine.
I remember when we didn't have vaccines for
COVID,
chicken pox, right?
Oh,
this
yeah.
is something simple.
Right.
We didn't have vaccines. But I had chicken pox so bad, if I take off my makeup, I have a triangle of scars. I have 1, 2, and 3 down my face.
That's funny. I got one at the top of my head. From chicken pox.
Very deep in my skin. 1, 2, 3. Legs look like I've been, I don't know. I still got scars on these beautiful legs of mine that talk about the, that show me, okay, damn, I had to, there was once a time, if we didn't get vaccinated, we probably, our children would still be going through this. Like, we had to be covered up in that damn pink lotion to protect ourselves. This was so, like, we could literally give our siblings, once you had it, and if your siblings didn't have it, the whole house of siblings, all y'all had it.
Well, it's the same. So it's the same with measles. We have a recurrence of measles in the United States because people won't take the MMR vaccine. But we're getting a resurgence in these old viruses because of this level of stupidity.
But it worked. I mean, I don't know anyone today to say that they have gotten the chicken pox. I was very confused. I woke up one day out of my sleep. I was like, damn, kids ain't getting chicken pox no more because they're getting vaccinated.
When's the last time you heard of somebody having chicken pox?
Yeah, measles. It's not a thing
literally
anymore.
Think about that.
So let's trust scientists on there. Now, it's your choice if you don't want to get it. I understand that. But then now you got to take the proper precautions to quarantine yourself, stay home, do the 14-day thing, be separated from your family. These are things that you got to do for yourself. This is what you got to do. Now, if you are, if you choose to be vaccinated, there are ways to go around it. If you don't choose to be vaccinated, if you choose to be vaccinated, but to go on and be a leading voice and create this false idea that the vaccination is something that is done because the deep blue state and the deep folks who want y'all to be like dead in 3 days. They'll take every rare story
5G radiation.
about somebody having a reaction to the vaccine, and they will definitely compare that to. They'll say these 3 people that had a reaction to the vaccine is equal to 1 million people who didn't have a reaction to the vaccine.
Right.
Here's my thing about that. I understand once there is a certain type of person that's having a reaction to the vaccine, and you know, like Johnson & Johnson, women were getting, I think, blood clots. They pulled that and they were like, okay, let's figure out how to make this better before we put this back on the market. Now we know there's something wrong with it, whatever the case may be. Recently they were saying that people's heart rates were up. You know, or there was something of this sort with the heart rates. They had to go back and figure out what to do with that. Granted, they're trying to figure this all out as it goes, but they had to put this vaccine out there because there were more folks dying.
600,000.
There were more folks dying. So they were like, what can we do to save more people? So this was the option. So now when you guys put these rhetorics out there, be clear. Like, be clear. Because I too was afraid of getting this vaccine as somebody with pre-existing conditions, but you know, I was like, girl, you back in the streets, and you want to go see your parents, you want to go see your nephews, you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So it's wax and vax all summer, or it's just keep your behind in quarantine and gain another about 50 pounds. We're not doing
wax
that.
But they're not.
James and Dr. Mack, that's the thing. To be anti-vax, whatever, that's your right, but fine. Right. But to be, like you said, Rebecca, promoting these messages, but they're not only promoting these messages, Dr. Mack, they're not taking the steps necessary to protect themselves or their families. And we see this resurgence in the Delta variant. I really want us to get out of this pandemic, but they're literally doing the things that are necessary to keep us here even longer.
So Ben, the first conservative that you had up, he was basically talking about nature. Nature has a way of thinning the population, if you will.
Yes.
And Rebecca spoke about, she used a phrase which hearkened this thought. She talked about the innovation of medicine. Yeah. Well, I wonder how that particular conservative would feel if his mama had breast cancer and he just chalked it up to breast cancer as a way of thinning the population. Now, I'm saying that with all due sensitivity because my mother is a breast cancer survivor. In the innovation of medicine, then let's just stop looking for a cure for cancer. Let's stop looking for a cure for AIDS. Let's stop looking for a cure for the common cold. Let's just stop it and let nature thin out the population. Complete rhetoric. So as Dr. Fauci said, it is just absolutely idiotic. Now, when you go back and you look at the second conservative who made the statement that, they tried to, and his words were, they tried to sucker folks into this bigger way so that we can get herd immunity. Clearly, Ben, as you're stating, over 600,000 American lives were lost. And trust and believe, a clip that would be worth it would be to go back when news of the pandemic first hit America, and now you start getting all the clips from Trump, where he just completely dismissed it. And as a result of his inactivity, because again, the Obama administration had left a task force in place to deal with pandemic, and then Trump comes and dismantles it. And then now he poo-poos it away, discounts it the same way that these two conservative gentlemen are doing the same thing, and now we lose 600,000. So when I think about it holistically into the problems that we're having in this nation, see, this is the beauty of the Constitution and that preamble to form a more perfect union. So tell me, idiotic conservatives, what is wrong in trying to get 90% of the American population vaccinated so that we can try and defeat this pandemic? What is wrong with that? I'll tell you what's wrong with it. You don't want a more perfect union. You are as un-American and unpatriotic as Benedict Arnold himself. And I say it like it or not.
James, jump in there, man, because we're not getting out of this anytime soon with this level of stupidity, man. We're not.
No, and I just hate that they're putting this rhetoric out there where they're making it seem like don't know. It's a huge issue to get the vaccine. You know, it's one thing you have your own opinion and you have your own feelings about the vaccination, but when you're trying to push those beliefs and feelings on other people, and not other people, but a whole country, you're trying to push that on the nation. It just sucks. And granted, somebody said this in the chat. Everybody on that stage, I bet, is vaccinated.
That's it.
They had to be vaccinated before they were even in there. And I hope y'all realize how strong this Delta variation is. Just on news last night, there was a lady that didn't have her 12-year-old child vaccinated. And I don't even think... Yes, she was vaccinated. The mom was vaccinated, but didn't get the child. And now her child is in ICU fighting the Delta variant. Kidneys are failing, and it's not looking good for her. So we're splitting this rhetoric out there that anti-vaccine and vaccine is bad. Do your own research, man, and make your own informed decision.
And DJ, understand this. Even with this, those of us who have been vaccinated, fully vaccinated, there was a report that came out in North Carolina, I believe, where it was like 4,400 people have come down with this new variant, and these 4,400 people were fully vaccinated. So, you know, the last time we were talking about this, and I admitted that, you know, because I was fully vaccinated, I would walk out without a mask. But hearing this news now about the fact that these 4,400 people in North Carolina who were fully vaccinated came down with this other variant, trust that you're lucky. You know, I should have a mask on while I'm doing this show right now.
So, anyways, listen. Wear your mask.
Hold on a second.
Vaccinate.
We can continue now.
Wear your mask, vaccinated or not. If you feel like you're gonna get it through the TV lens, through the camera, wear your mask. Practice doing it how Dr. Carl Mack is doing it. And maybe you too. Every time you step out the house, won't forget to take your mask into these stores. Just because where I live, most of Woodstock in the is considerably
the concert. Hey, did y'all see the concert? The black version of Woodstock.
It's considerably what you call it, vaccinated. These people do not care. They do not care. They will not wear their mask. They will not wear their mask. And I almost walked right into the same kind of living thinking that I could walk around like that too. But then there was a woman who sneezed, and then her kid coughed. And the person behind them sneezed, and the person behind them coughed. And I was like, girl, no, I can't get nothing in the store. I put everything down, and left, and I made sure I got to my vehicle. Before I even touched my vehicle door, I have on my keychains some hand sanitizer.
Smart. Okay.
When I got in, I made sure I had these wipes. I wiped down the door. And I was like, Rebecca, why did you go with no mask on? That's crazy. So, but I say that to say the Delta variant, because that's what the name of it, the Delta variant. These people on Twitter are a fool. So there's a girl who just crossed over Delta Sigma Theta.
Oh, Lord.
Which is part of the Panhellenic sorority. Listen, she's white.
Oh.
They done said, here is the new Delta variant, and they let that go viral. I didn't find the picture because I did not want to post her up on here. But that has been the one. And I feel so bad for this girl who just crossed over Delta. And she happens to be white. And they said it's the new Delta variant.
No, don't say that for the after party. Save that for the after party.
We're not posting a picture of that girl. You guys will not drag her. Y'all will not drag her for becoming a Delta. Okay?
Okay. We're not going to drag her for becoming a Delta. We're going to drag her for being the Delta variant. All right, Rebecca.
I don't even want to show her face because she didn't act. She's probably very like a nice person, and I don't like the fact that they're dragging her.
Right. But you brought it up.
I did bring it up because I saw it. Something in my inside laughed all the way from my womb. And I said, that is not right that I laugh like that. That's not right.
But you're going to bring it up so we can laugh. But we won't show her picture. We won't say her name. We're just going to all laugh at her Delta variant pain.
Whoever put that out there is terrible. And her line needs to come in behind her and defend her. Okay? Because that is terrible.
And fam, I'll tell you one. Again, one of the things that we do, and I'll bring it back to a serious effort. I think that that we all want to do. We understand what the conservatives are saying, and we're criticizing them about that. Yeah. And so here's an example of us being critics. But one of the things that we absolutely, as a community, that we should do, and I would certainly put this challenge out to all of us in the community. Let us as a people, because we understand how COVID-19 devastated our community. So let us move to get the Black community to 90% vaccination. Let us do that within our community. Let us move from simply being critics about what what these white conservatives are saying, and be proactive in getting our community to that herd immunity, 90% vaccine. Damn 90%. Let's get 100%. Like it or not.
I like that.
Like it or not. I like that too.
100%.
Yeah, especially in our community. Yeah, F some white supremacist people. Let's get our community straight and change the narrative. That's what needs to be changed. Let's get us vaccinated.
Yeah, if they want to stay out there and poo-poo away the vaccine, okay, fine. But within our community, let us move to 100% vaccination. That is a message that we ought to be pushing, instead of just harking on. I agree that we ought to spend time listening to the rhetoric of what they're saying. But okay, we've heard what they're saying, but let us not take our eyes off the focus of protecting our community. So let's push for 100% vaccination in our community.
And wear the vaccination, wear these masks, quarantine. I think we need it. But Dr. Mack, thank you so much for that, because I feel like we need to redouble our efforts. It took a lot for us to get everybody to go offline, even for the 2 weeks that we went offline in quarantine collectively. We need to implement those same policies as much as we possibly can. Things are different. You can't hide. You got the vaccine. You got work to do. I get it. But with this variant and the way it has, like you said, it has devastated the Black community in ways that we're not going to understand fully for years. Wear these masks, y'all. Let's take it seriously. That's all I got.
Wear your mask and and protect your family, protect yourself. I know that in this particular time we're going into the year 2, because we've already crossed year 1 and we're going into year 2. So and I know people are outside. I was outside. Y'all saw me with full-blown strangers overseas. And I had to make sure when I came home that, after the concert, that I quarantined before.
Rebecca stay in these streets. Rebecca.
Nowadays I stay in these streets, and I am vaccinated, but I stay in these streets, but I make sure that, hey, let's stay home. What are we looking like? Are we wearing our mask? Do we need to go out anywhere? I literally didn't leave. I did not leave the house. That my alarm system didn't even notice it was on for that many days. And I'm like, dang, I didn't take off because I did not want to go anywhere. I wanted to see what was going on with me before I went around my sister or anything like that, because I can't, or, my soon to be probably man. I can't do that. I got to make sure that I'm okay. I got to make sure that I'm okay, and he has a child, make sure he's okay. Like things like that. We got to make sure things are good, because I know I want to be out in these streets. I want to love again. I want to be out at the concerts. I want to have drinks with random friends, but that comes also with you wanting to protect yourself. You go do that, you're vaccinated, but I have to quarantine.
Speaking of drinks.
So Rebecca, I gotta ask this question. When you say soon to be man, you need to tell me right now. You need to tell all your brothers right now that a prerequisite to him soon to being your man is he got to pull out that vaccination card. You got to lay eyes on him.
Oh no, he's vaccinated. We went and got our second vaccination.
Have you seen the card? Have you seen the card?
No. He's definitely vaccinated. I know for
that. Rebecca, have you seen the card?
Okay, how about this? I will definitely send him a text and say, hey.
Have you seen the card, Rebecca?
Show me the card.
Look, I'm going to see the card.
Rebecca, have you seen the card?
The new STD test? Hey, you got your vaccination?
It's true.
No, I'm vaccinated. No, I can't link up with you then.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. I ain't letting Rebecca, you ain't getting away with. Have you seen the card?
I have not seen the card.
Okay, so Rebecca, understand this. Until you see the card, your brothers Ben and DJ and Brother Mack, we ain't approving him. He ain't even in the soon to be. We got to see the card.
Okay, I'm going to
like it or not,
let him know.
Like it or not, we got to see the card.
You're right. I'm with it. I'm going to let him know. I'm going to let him know. I'm going to make sure that he has been vaccine.
You telling your three brothers need to see that. As a matter of fact, Rebecca, right now, you need to get that card, get a photocopy of the card. You need to do something. You need to show us the card. Like it or not.
Rebecca, you gotta send him
I'm gonna text him.
You gotta send him the Vax That
I'm gonna
Thing Up
text him
video.
and say, let me see the card.
Oh my gosh!
Have y'all show until we see the card?
Wait, have y'all seen the Vax That Ass Up? What's it? Vax That Thing? What's it
Vax
called?
That Thing Up video. Yep.
Vax That Thing Up. Oh my goodness.
Do we have that? I have not seen it.
I will pull it. I don't think we can probably play it.
Yeah, we probably can't play it because of copyrights because YouTube is already on my ass. But Juvenile.
We can't like it. We can't have like it or not.
Suspended too. I gotta have at least one channel I can stream on.
But that's a good point though, Dr. Carl Mack. Ladies, gentlemen, non-gender conforming folks, if you are out here in these streets planning to date, as I am, it's been a minute, so I'm out here in these streets and I'm ready to date. If you are doing so, take heed of Dr. Carl Mack and definitely tell him, like, hey, I'm trying to see what you want. Like, you want Pfizer, you want Moderna, you want Johnson & Johnson.
What you got in your system?
What you got in your bloodstream? Because I would love to know. And I can't take your word for it because it's like an STD. I need to see the papers.
I need to see the card.
What is your mRNA percolating with? What's in your blood?
What's your mRNA percolating with, man?
Yeah, what is in your DNA system, my man? What is touching? Yeah, I like that.
The card.
But speaking of, we got to find a good place. We the three of us. So here's a wild thing. I know we're already in the after party. We're getting ready to get out of here, but all this that we've done so far with the show, with the morning show and the stream. We've done 100% without ever meeting each other in person for this. Like Rebecca and I, we know each other, and James and I went to college, but I've never met Dr. Mack. I've never met Georgia in person.
I ain't never met Bubba.
And Ben, I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to cut you off, Ben, but I'm gonna tell you this: y'all ain't gonna meet me until I see your card.
Okay, let me make sure.
Okay, I got my card somewhere. I got a card.
Mine over here.
Somewhere.
I'm looking right at it.
Mine is in the drawer in the kitchen. I'll pull it out.
See, we ain't playing with y'all people. We come prepared. Mine stay in my wallet. Hang on, make sure no pertinent information is in. There you go. There's my card. There you go. Boom.
Bill,
so you can come down.
We can't see that.
Well, I'm not gonna put it too close.
Card.
No, let me cover up my birthday. There you go.
There's a lot of people out here saying they waxed and vax and they not.
There you go.
Okay.
They've not vaxxed at all. They barely waxed.
When a man is like, you tell a man, hey, have you been tested? When was the last time you were tested? And they're like, man, I've been tested by, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I've been tested about whatever. And it's like he never went. He doesn't even know what a doctor's visit looks like. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. So yeah.
You're not talking about you're not talking about this new guy that you just talking about in general.
No, and you know that I haven't dated a Black American in a long time. But this one does have that kind of accent though. He's not Black American though. But he goes to the doctors. He goes to give it. He's always been that way. He's made sure he takes care of himself.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, folks.
Nope. There is some updates that I did want to do for Haiti real quick.
Oh yes.
Real quick. So I know that early on, I did discuss a few things, and that was one of the things being that the DEA was somehow involved, and that at the time wasn't something that was confirmed, although on video you could hear somebody with an American accent saying it was the DEA. When it comes to, we're talking about the assassination of the Haitian president, when it comes to barging into the Haitian president's home and asking the guards to stand down. Now there has been news that has been confirmed that the DEA, former informants of U.S., have actually been involved, and they have actually been tied to it. And ever since that has been confirmed, which was yesterday by CNN, now the news is all over, CNN. Because remember I said, why aren't they delving more into the DEA factor for me? Because that means that the U.S. has ties to the situation, and I would love to know why aren't they, talking about it? But ever since that has been confirmed, they are now talking about it more again. According to CNN, several of the men involved in the operation that killed President Jovenel Moise previously worked as U.S. law enforcement informants. At least one of the men arrested by Haitian authorities previously worked as an informant for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA. And this is a statement in a response to CNN. Following the assassination of President Moise, the suspect reached out to his contacts at the DEA. A DEA official assigned to Haiti urged the suspect to surrender to local authorities, and along with the U.S. State Department official, provided information to the Haitian government that assisted in the surrender and arrest of the suspect and one other individual. And this is a quote from the DEA. Others also had U.S. ties that were included working as informants for the FBI. The people briefed on the matter said that the FBI said in response to CNN's reporting that it doesn't comment on informants, except to say that it uses lawful sources to collect intelligence as part of its investigations. Authorities on Monday announced the arrest of a suspect who we discussed yesterday, who orchestrated the assassination, and that is Christian Emmanuel Sanon, 63, entered the private jet in June. Police Chief Leon Charles said at a news conference. So he was in the country in June, and he is now being questioned. We're talking about the doctor that is well and beloved in South Florida, Christian Emmanuel Sanon. And now he is being questioned, and he is the one allegedly believed to have orchestrated the whole entire thing. Wow. Now, there's more news coming out of all of this as well. And it's a lot, like I said, a lot that has been breaking, a lot that we're having to piece together. Some things that are believable, some things that are not. But like I said, the U.S. didn't get involved until the DEA news was verified, and now they're all in it. But the truth is they were always involved, as we see here. So here is some updates again, and this is from CNN, because now they're involved and they're investigating pretty heavily. The plot to kill Haiti's president allegedly spanned multiple countries and involved highly experienced former military officers and months of planning, according to local officials. Yet the primary suspects in the case appear to have been unprepared for their fierce pursuit by Haitian security forces. It said a wild chase followed the assassination of Haiti's president. CNN has obtained exclusive information about the hunt for the killers of Jovenel Moise, a banana exporter turned politician who was killed in a hail of gunfire in the bedroom of his private residence in the leafy Port-au-Prince district of Pétionville at around 1 a.m. last Wednesday, according to government statements. The Haitian president's body was found riddled with bullets, according to a local official tasked with documenting the crime scene, who said Moise had suffered a broken leg and serious facial injuries. Multiple government sources described the injuries as signs of torture. Moise's wife, Martine, she was wounded and she is now being treated. So all of this is coming out, which is letting us know there are so many things that are being involved. But my key thing here is, like I said, way back on day one, because what Haitians know about the DEA, let me know then, and that was my own opinion at the time, that there was U.S. involvement in some way, shape, or form. And here we are now after it has been confirmed, and now they want to be all up in the sauce. It's funny because
let me ask this question real quick, Rebecca, because I think it's some confusion. Now, are these? They seem like they're saying former DEA, so it's almost like the U.S. government doesn't have the involvement, but
no,
more
the US
so
government doesn't
former.
They're former.
Okay.
But what I say is, the U.S. We have Americans that were involved. Let me clarify that.
Americans, period.
Americans that were involved. So the U.S. was involved in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And this former informant contacted his folks in the DEA.
Yeah.
Okay. Those were messages, or those were he contacted his people in the DEA so this thing has this whole web that is being created. This all of this information.
So many.
So here's the thing though, if there was a connection somewhere and he got and this is all connected. Dr. Sanon lives in South Florida. So I'm pretty sure he has his American papers, and he's connected with others, and him being a part of the government over there, and him being a very primary political source and voice in South Florida for Haitians. He has connections there too.
And his expectation was to go over to Haiti and become the president, according to this article?
That was a lot of his voicings years ago, but he still kept on and even was pictured with Jovenel Moise not too long ago. So they always say, you keep your enemies close, okay? So that's
a little too close.
But this is Haitian politics at its finest. Everybody
Rebecca, let me ask you. Did you see that part in the article that you shared? Because the former DEA informants, that was wild. That the very first thing they did, the participants, the people who participated according to this article from CNN, the individuals who participated in the assassination, who were formerly connected with the DEA, after the assassination, according to CNN, those former informants from the DEA reached out to their contacts at the DEA, and it was the DEA that said you should turn yourself in, and that is how some of this started unraveling. This is how some people. But here's the thing that I wanted to ask you about specifically. Did you see the line in the article where it said, despite the abundance of bullet holes documented inside the president's home, not one member of the president's security detail or residential staff was hurt, according to authorities. And I don't know how that happens.
What? No, you don't know how that happened? Because it's exactly how it happened. From the beginning, Ben, from day one. When the story had broke. And I said, how is it that the president's guards in Haiti put their guns down because somebody walked up and said, this is the DEA.
How are they alive?
Which tells me that this is very strategic. First of all, what Haitian is going to be like, oh, DEA, oui. They don't know nothing. They're not
falling for that.
No. They don't even know what that really is for real. You go to Haiti and you ask the people, what is the DEA? DEA. They're going to be like, I'm back on DEA, no? They don't know. So, and then if you're protecting a president, that's not enough for me to stand down, put my guns down.
That's it.
And go and let you guys in and do this whole murder. Also, on top of that, it's also been reported that they're looking for, I don't know if they've already listed the names, but even in, statements made and in conference that they've done, the acting president had said they're looking for the entire names. They're trying to write down the names of those who worked that evening. And that's a question that I have too.
How do they not have that list already?
Why are we not doing that? Why wasn't that done? So, like I said, I've been in Haiti where the president was passing by. As we were on the mountain going up, the president was passing by, and we had to pull over on a little corner on a mountain while he was passing by and had mad cars around him, had mad securities around him. I got off the plane and I went through where the president goes through, and there was mad security there. So I'm very confused as to this particular moment.
How none of them got
none of them. There's no information on them like that. And there is nothing, they didn't have the ability to protect the president from somebody yelling, it's the DEA, stand down.
I'm sorry. It's just,
somebody just said something in the chat that DEA was probably a code word.
And that could be something too, right there. Yeah,
all I know,
DEA was probably a code word.
Let me just say this, and we lost you, James. You lost your camera. All I know is that at every level of presidential protection, I don't expect Haitian Secret Service. I'm just going to call them that because I don't know exactly what the presidential detail for Haiti is. But let's just call them the Secret Service. I don't have the expectation that the Haitian Secret Service is going to have the same technology, information, intelligence as the United States Secret Service. But I also do not expect anyone's security detail, whether you're a president or whether you're a celebrity, to simply I'm not the only one dying that night. I'm just going, like, if I'm paying you to be my security and you are charged with the task of protecting the president of the United States or charged with that, period. Huh?
Security, they ain't got not one bullet hole in
bullet hole in them.
And and this is why I say it's questionable, all of it, from the beginning to the end. But the reason why I stress, and I'm stressing, and that the U.S. or people from the U.S. have had a part in this. We have our very own, he is born Haitian, he's a Haitian native, who has been constructing this, allegedly orchestrating this from South Florida the whole entire time with his connections, with his U.S. connections. Some of these people being American, Haitian Americans, who have involved themselves in the matter. And to get Colombians to involve themselves as well in the matter, who were saying that the goal was not to assassinate the president.
Right.
Shake him up a bit. And now that we're finding out this man could have actually been tortured before being riddled with the bullet holes. So it's so much surrounding this. But
that
I just
CNN article
say U.S. will always be involved in the mess, okay? We know that they will always put their foot in something when it comes, especially to me, to these third world countries, or these countries that they believe that they can, have their power over in any way, shape, or form. Because just a few weeks ago, the news was just, there has been an assassination, right? There's been an assassination, and we've been having to pull from our Haitian sources exactly to give you guys the news. The DEA part of the story was prominent to us, last week? And now, because it's been confirmed, now CNN, and because it has ties to the U.S., now CNN is doing more of an investigation beyond just the assassination of the president or covering just his death. So, I find this to be it's crazy. It's crazy out here in these streets. And I know that as we get off air today, there will be more developments that surround this story. Now, I will say this too. It's very interesting how the U.S. works. And this is why I say to all them journalists that were talking their talk last week saying, if CNN didn't report it, X, Y, and Z, right? We can't really be jumping on Haitian news networks because they don't be knowing stuff. And some of this was from my own people having this debate online, right? Whatever. But it's interesting how Haiti had massive protests for a while. Right? And as soon as something like the assassination happens, they want to put that as, they've been under these massive protests, which were against the president, and da-da-da-da. And but those are just a little tea that they have on Haiti. And, it being the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. As soon as Cuba says something, it's like, I wish we had that video, and I wish I would have pulled it, because I watched Joe Biden yesterday, and I watched him speak on behalf of Haiti and on behalf of Cuba, who is now protesting to be outside of the leadership that they're under now and be free of dictatorship or whatever else is following with Cuba. But how Joe Biden acknowledged Haiti and how he acknowledged Cuba. It was, hey, Cuba is looking for freedom, and we're going to rock, we're going to stick right beside him. We'll be right beside Cuba through this whole thing, basically is what he was saying. And when he mentioned Haiti, he was like, Haiti needs to get it together. Basically, and all he said was like a small sentence. That was the end of his statement. And like, Haiti needs to figure it out, basically. I'm like, see, this is why we don't want y'all help anyway.
I was going to say that I like that, because we don't want American intervention, because American intervention never ends well.
They're still going to intervene, though. Never. He said that, but they're still going to intervene, right? Yeah. While Cuba is going to be coddled and assisted in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, no, they're not going to coddle Cuba. I tell you that much. They're going to go after Cuba,
we're talking about the same way they treat. When I think of Cuba and I think of Haiti,
you think about
South Florida treats
the flotilla,
and the whole thing of if Cubans get to land, if their feet touch land, they can stay. Haitians do not have that same liberty or luxury. In the same way that Joe Biden was speaking, and this is no disrespect to none of my Cubans, because I understand there is a struggle going on there, and Cuba has actually been a refuge for many Haitians to come and stay over there. So definitely understand it. Actually, Creole is the second most spoken language in Haiti.
I didn't know
that. But with that being said, that's why when I heard Joe Biden speak, it just, to me, is the same way. Haitians need to just get yourselves together. Yeah, we're going to still come in, mess up all y'all shit. Just come in there, take your resources, abuse you guys, abuse your government, then go on our own national media and say that you guys need to get your shit together.
Yeah.
Because you guys are always full of shit. You guys need to get your shit together. But we're still going to abuse it. And we're still going to intervene. because you guys asked us to intervene, and we could possibly start a war there. But I mean, at the end of the day, get y'all shit together. While Cuba, we understand what you're protesting about. We get it. We get it, and we're going to stick right beside you, because that's exactly what that was the energy that Joe Biden gave in his statement yesterday. I know Dr. Carl Mack, you've been pretty quiet. Is there anything that you want to add before we get out of here?
No, not necessarily on the subject, but because I was giving you guys a lot of grief about your card, I just need to.
Okay, tomorrow I'm gonna have
the cards out,
I'm gonna have mine for y'all.
He pulled his card.
Yeah,
I'm just
make
saying,
sure you're vaccinated. You're vaccinated. Go get yours, Bubba, because I gotta go dig through my kitchen drawer to get mine. But tomorrow, at the start of the show, you guys will see my card, and you guys will see that she is vaxxed. I felt super sick on that vaccine. I can't lie, but I am.
Wow.
It took me to Mexico.
Hold on.
Did you have any side effects? That camera gonna focus in 3 seconds.
So Rebecca, all I know is I'm willing to meet Ben and DJ, and you on the outside, and your soon-to-be boyfriend is way on the outside. So let's just be clear, like it or not, Rebecca. Until you bring your,
I get it.
Well, Rebecca, bring your vax card tonight. We the three of us, we're gonna go here in Atlanta to some outdoor location and grab some drinks.
Ben,
so we'll get a picture.
Ben, quickly, that ought to be the new movement within our community. It is for people to cover up your birthday, but show your willingness to help us get to 100% vaccination. Black folks, show your vaccination card.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
That's real.
Show your vax card. Well, Rebecca, James, Professor Mack, Dr. Mack. Well, not you, Dr. Mack, but Rebecca and James. I'll see y'all tonight. We'll figure out where we're going.
What time? We said what time?
8,
I get off of work at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, and I'm done.
Hey, come on, fly down here, Dwayne.
Yeah, Dr. Mack got a private jet somewhere. Go ahead, go to jump on your.
Nobody's plane. I'll make that.
Dr. Mack got the private. He got the private plane.
Yeah, I got that, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying, wherever we going, Rebecca can't come till I see her card. That's all I'm saying.
My card is here. I'm coming. My card is
Girl,
here.
go get that card out the drawer real quick.
It's in the dry. Get it, collect it out the lint dust. Piece it back together. You washed it. Well, folks, Rebecca, James, Dr. Mack, I appreciate y'all. I'm just chilling at this point. There's so many stories that are happening around us right now.
I ran almost 4 miles. Did I ran? I ran over 4 miles.
She ran a mile for you.
You said 5. Yeah.
I did 5. So I did 5. Yeah.
Great job.
So did you find that card?
Okay, hold on. I'll find it and then I'll post it in our group chat. It's somewhere in my kitchen counter. So,
James, play some music. Because if you don't, Professor Mack, Dr. Mack, and Rebecca Azor go back and forth about this vaccine card.
Okay, look, once I find the card and once he gives me a screenshot of his card. Okay, right, you're right. But I will. Get me out of here. I love you guys.
Get some music.
Eat some tacos off me. Let's go to a taco place tonight. I love you. Bye, guys.
All right, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Bye, y'all. So, y'all, thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it. Definitely on the clock with Georgia, the Benjamin Dixon Show, and also Like It or Not with Rebecca Azor. Y'all, make sure that y'all stay tuned, and we will be back in the morning, y'all. We'll see y'all then. Deuces.
When it comes to you and me, there's no one else I'd rather be with. Baby, I won't let you down. I got it. I know you need it. Love is it when you're around. Oh, please say that you believe it. 'Cause I don't want to lose you. I hope you feel that way too. No, I don't want to.
You are clear.